This somewhat jaded young man is our protagonist, our main character, Kim Dane, 22 years old. One fine day, he was accidentally transported into the world of a comic book. As someone who was a huge fan of the female lead Stardust from the comic, he originally wanted to become a hero to stand by her side, but then he changed his mind. Because he knew that even if he became a hero, he wouldn't be able to protect her. So he decided to become a villain, to protect her from the shadows. First, he had to start with his villain hunt, plan as he called it. And right at this moment, Dane is preparing to take out a target. Based on his knowledge of the original story, I'll get stronger later on and eliminate the villains, who cause trouble while they're still weak. There's no way I'm letting this scum make Stardust suffer ever again. Through his thermal scope, our protagonist can easily observe his target inside the house. Ha! Seeing this sight, Dane cheerfully loads his gun. He thought to himself, it's a good thing I have the abilities to carry out this plan. First is the ability to teleport instantly, and second is the ability to move objects with my mind. Cut to inside the room. The villain, who had been intently studying some blueprints, suddenly notices a gun materialize in front of him. At the same time, Dane's silhouette appears behind him. He then said coldly, "Goodbye, Reno." Right after he spoke, a gunshot immediately rang out, and the Rhino villain himself slumped to one side. Ignoring the man's obese corpse, the main character casually reached out and took the paper he was reading. Then he muttered, "These are the blueprints for the shopping mall." Just as I thought. This time he was also planning a terrorist attack. This guy is Reno, a man who will become an S-rank villain later in the original story. This guy is a psycho who wears a rhino mask and murders hundreds of people, unaware of the main character's thoughts. The voice of his support, Seol Ian, came through his earpiece. The police and the Hero Association have been tipped off. Get out of there within 5 minutes. Dane smiled and nodded. All right. Thanks, Seol-in. Seol-in replied with an annoyed tone. If you're so grateful, remember to buy me honeydew ice cream on your way back. Not letting her complain any further, our protagonist cut off the communication link. Next, he dipped his finger into the pool of blood on the table and wrote something on the glass wall. He then gave a cunning smile. Guess I should leave a present for you. Time passed quickly. A moment later, the Rhino villain's room was filled with police officers. A female voice rang out asking, "So the dead person over there is Reno?" Hearing the question, the black-haired police officer nodded in confirmation. Yes, that's right. He's been confirmed to be the S-class villain Reno. Based on the MO, the perpetrator in this murder is believed to be the same person who killed the A-class villain Enzo Diak and escaped before. And also, he hesitated, pointing to the wall in front of them, where the words "to Stardust" appeared. This made the female hero so angry that her whole body trembled uncontrollably. She growled, "That insane bastard. I will definitely catch you." Not long after, the news of Reno's demise spread across all the newspapers. This caused the netizens to have another round of discussions. Someone commented, "But if he only hunts other villains, doesn't that make him a hero? So he's really considered a villain, huh? This guy's pretty cool. Villains always escape from prison anyway, so I'm all for just killing them off. He's doing what the heroes are useless at. Satisfying to see, isn't it? Watching the heroes at work just drives me crazy." Cut to Dane's location. After reading these comments from everyone, the man himself was also going crazy, as things weren't going as he thought. Annoying. So annoying. This is exactly the kind of annoyance I was talking about. This is a pain, he said as his eyes rolled back in his head. At the same time, a female voice complained, "You've been muttering this whole time. What's so annoying?" This white-haired girl is Han Sol-eun, who possesses the ability of superintelligence. In response to her question, Dane's eyes practically shot fire as he turned to explain, "They're even thanking me after I killed those villains. At this rate, my reputation is going to improve. So what about the heroes catching you and throwing you in jail?" The assistant girl seemed to have figured something out, so she coldly said a single name. Dane quickly nodded and continued, "Right. And because of Stardust, things will probably get even worse for her. To stop that, I need to carve into everyone's minds that I am a very, very bad guy. All right. It's time for the villain Egostic to make his official debut," the young man said while pointing straight at the bomb that had been prepared beforehand inside his bag. Cut to a tall tower. While people were sightseeing around, an announcement suddenly blared from the speakers. "This is a warning to everyone on the 11th floor. Now enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. My name is the villain Egostic. Along with these words, an image of Diane wearing a mask appeared on the large screens. Everyone who witnessed this was terrified. Seeing their reaction, the main character was pleased and continued. Haha, so you're wondering who Augustic is, eh? The one who eliminated Reno, recently, and Enzo Dyack before that. It was none other than me. But enough of that. Let's cut the crap. See that thing over there? Diane said with a smile, simultaneously pointing towards the tall tower behind him. Through this image, the citizens began to realize it was Tower 127. On this side, Diane continued to make his cold declaration. He raised his hand and continued to point at Observation Tower 61, and continued, and over there, I've planted bombs in both of these places. That's what I'm talking about. Hearing this, all the citizens were so scared their faces turned purple. Chaos began to erupt everywhere. What is this? The doors won't open, I don't want to die in here. Someone screamed as they tried to escape outside, but without success. And their images were also being broadcast live, for others to watch. Back to the main character. He was using his powers, controlling countless hovering cameras, on all four sides to capture every angle, then said, so let the game begin. If there's a villain, there must be a hero, right? The hero in charge of the soul area. Ms. Stardust, come on out and give it your all. As soon as the words were spoken, Dane was startled to realize a figure was already charging straight towards him with the speed of a rocket. This made Dane panic. He hastily adjusted his clothes and mask. He felt a bit flustered. Phew, why is this so awesome? I finally get to meet her in person. On the opposite side, Stardust had already landed on the helipad. Her landing was so powerful it kicked up a cloud of dust in every direction. Looking at her figure, Dane's face became dazed. The image of a beautiful and powerful female hero left Dane speechless for a moment, unaware of the thoughts in the main character's mind. The hero girl, as soon as she saw him, gritted her teeth and questioned, your name is Agostic. In response to this, Dane just coldly took out a detonator and threatened her. Stop right there. If you take one more step from now on, I'll press it immediately. You know I will. Back to when Kim Dane, our protagonist, was only 15 years old. An intense laughter, as if wanting to tear apart the stomach of the person tied up on the TV, resounded endlessly. Ha 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 ha! The man's face was filled with glee as he laughed maniacally. Ha 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 ha! Back then I was really confused. Is Jackie really insane? Even for a villain, this kind of acting is a bit over the top for the concept. And now, having understood the mindset of a villain, he created his own terrifying laugh. Ha 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 ha! Even though the hero in front of him was looking at him with enraged eyes, ready to crush him at any moment. The world seemed to stand still, even the bustling crowd below. Only a hero and a villain remained on top of the building. Rewind a few minutes. Before the two officially confronted each other, Kim Dane pointed at Stardust with an arrogant look. I know what you're thinking right now. Even my subordinate, the one controlling the broadcast, also has a detonation switch, so don't even think about overpowering me. The hero's steps faltered slightly at those words. He spread his arms wide, with a swarm of drones hovering behind him. I created this stage just for Stardust. What do you think? The response was her scowling face. You psycho release the innocent people? Just fight me a bit and let me arrest you. Kim Dane still maintained a relaxed smile on his face. He leaned over, raised his hand, and looked into the camera. Yes, of course I'll release them. Those are the words of the hero of justice, Stardust, after all. Focus up. Everyone look at me now. Now I will open elevator hack A in the observation deck. He snapped his fingers. A sound echoed from the elevators in both buildings. Stardust's brows furrowed slightly. She knew the nature of these villains all too well. It couldn't end this simply. The people inside the building saw the elevator working again and rushed over. Is it real? Hurry, hurry up! A voice stopped them. Wait a minute, this is still part of Kim Dane's scheme. If I let you go right away, what's the fun in that? The down button is lit up. He excitedly told them. Just press it and the bomb in the other observation deck will explode. Simple, right? His voice lilted. Let's see. From now until the bomb explodes, there are 30 minutes left. He became extremely excited. Before that, hurry up, press it and get down. Kim Dane transformed into a demon tempting the psychologically weak crowd. Hurry up. They're complete strangers anyway, right? On the big screen, the chaotic scene inside the building was displayed. The sound of children crying mingled with arguments. Stardust gritted her teeth and cursed, "This bastard!" Kim Dane pretended not to care about her feelings. Today here, I will show everyone. The ultimate selfishness of human beings. This is the game of egoistic. The people inside the building were in complete disarray. If the other side presses it first, we'll die a horrible death. But we have to live too right. It'll explode when time's up. He said we had 30 minutes. That doesn't mean you want to kill the people over there with just a push of a button. Wah, they were worried and anxious, at the same time wondering if the other side would press it. We don't have time to think like this. The bomb will go off in a few dozen minutes. So what now? Will they press the button? The situation was truly chaotic. Someone was pacing restlessly. Damn it! What is the hero doing right now? Stardust stood there, unable to act rashly. Even if she rushed over and took him down in an instant, if there was another detonation device elsewhere, it would be useless. If this keeps up, the hostages will... Her eyes were as cold as ice, her voice a low growl. Is playing with people's lives this fun for you? Across from her, Kim Dawn was still relaxed, his eyes crinkling in a smile. Haha, the fun isn't in that. Stardust, one of the few A-class heroes in Korea. Someone who believes in justice and her own convictions, who never compromises with evil. But actually, I quite respect you. Stardust. Those words made her face flush with anger. What nonsense are you talking about? He gleefully rubbed his nose, looking proud. I just wanted to praise you. While the whole country is watching you on TV, Kim Dane's voice rang out again, drawing attention. Seeing you in a situation where you're helpless and can't do anything, his face twisted into a crazed expression as he touched the bomb button, is truly fascinating. His body blurred and vanished. I'm giving you a chance to join the game too. Now I'll connect you with the people who are anxiously waiting for a hero. Her expression, Stardust was full of suspicion, staring at him warily. What? Kim Dane continued his act. If you succeed in persuading them, and no one presses the button within 30 minutes, he crossed his legs and gave a wicked grin. The bombs won't explode. Stardust naturally didn't believe him. You expect me to believe a bastard like you? He wasn't scared at all and even goaded her. It's better than letting them just stare at the sky helplessly, isn't it? She clenched her fists at her sides, feeling helpless. Kim Dane didn't need her consent. He waved his hand and signaled. Now! A loud command rang out. All the cameras swarmed around her. 3, 2, 1. After a 3-second countdown, a dramatic scene began. The hero's face appeared on the LED screens, giant screens on the buildings. The citizens immediately recognized her. Stardust, Stardust. She took a deep breath against the invisible pressure. She looked into the camera as if looking straight into their eyes. Hello, everyone. I am the A-class hero Stardust. Everyone has their own beliefs in their hearts. His handsome face went blank. That's right. This is exactly what I wanted. A world that's half real, half fake, just like a dream. He would be painted in the public eye as a terrorist. His dream was coming true. And she would shine. This is the stage for you, Stardust. Her appearance was brilliant, so that later everyone can be proud of the choice they made today. Let's show this villain. Her voice was like a warmth spreading into everyone's hearts. That we are very strong. Their gazes gradually became firm. Our belief will not waver. We will never surrender to evil. Thank you, everyone. Kim Dane gave a faint, mysterious smile. The countdown on the screen showed only 5 seconds left. The people trapped in the building hugged each other and prayed. Stardust's face was filled with anxiety as she watched the screen. When the number hit the final point, everyone closed their eyes, preparing for the worst. Everyone was in a state of tense anxiety. Would the punishment be delivered? Or was the villain telling the truth? That was also when Kim Dane began his performance. All the cameras fell down, along with his incredulous roar. No, impossible. These selfish humans, as a camera caught his shocked and pained face. So no one rushed out to save themselves. Impossible. Impossible. There must have been at least one person who pressed the button. There has to be a selfish bastard like me who pressed it. Kim Dane clutched his head, muttering, acting his heart out. People can't be this good, why? At this point, Stardust spoke up. Egoistic people aren't as selfish as you think. Her image seemed to radiate a brilliant aura. No one is completely selfless, but I believe in the goodness of people. Kim Dane thought to himself, it's all thanks to you. Stardust, you made them unite. He suddenly changed his expression and chuckled. Interesting, Stardust. Before Stardust could charge at him, he gave a polite bow. The next game will definitely... Kim Dane gave her one last look. Wow! Stardust's resilient blue eyes made him exclaim in admiration. Her eyes are filled with justice. Finally, he disappeared with a single declaration, I will win. The entire populace erupted in joyous celebration. They burst into tears, hugging each other to celebrate the hero's victory. They all chanted one name in unison, Stardust. Stardust. Despite this, the hero stood silently in the empty space. Kim Dane had quickly teleported to another location. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he collapsed from exhaustion, groaning in pain. He lamented, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die." This is the consequence of teleporting. The deadly side effect of instant teleportation is damage to the body, proportional to the distance traveled. His body felt so heavy he couldn't even crawl. Ugh! "Looks like I'll be bedridden for a few days," a girl's voice exclaimed. "I told you not to change that hat, big bro." The white-haired girl looked at him with a disdainful gaze. "It's so ugly," Kim Don whispered weakly. "Help, Seo-yul. I'm really about to die. Get me a glass of water." The girl dusted off her pants and cruelly walked away. "Get it yourself," leaving him frozen on the spot. The LED screen announced breaking news about the terrorist attack at the building, with the death toll at 0. Stardust hovered in midair. She gritted her teeth in bitter resentment, playing with people's hearts. Next time I will definitely catch you. This name, she would remember it forever. Until she caught him. Early one morning at the Korean Hero Association, a place where those with superhuman abilities in the country gather. On the big screen, countless tabloid articles were posted online. These are the recent headlines. Broadcast hijacker watched by the whole nation. Who is the one who specifically called out the hero Stardust? Let's review his actions. Egostick, who is the Class A villain. A hot topic. No casualties, as terror spreads across the peninsula in real time. Broadcast hijacked to foreign countries. South Korean broadcast security, is this okay? The meeting coordinator moved to the next page. Next is the analysis profile on Egostick. Egostick villain information. Villain, along with some details about Kim Dane when he transforms into Egostick. Gender male, wears a mask. Function causes identity recognition impairment. Predicted residence. A bald, pot-bellied uncle spoke up. "So let's start the report. This is Mr. Jun-ho, the chairman of the Korean Hero Association." The screen showed several locked-room murder cases. He looked sick of it. "All right. We've seen this part many times. Move on." "Yes." The coordinator continued his presentation. "Then I will explain the details of yesterday's event. First of all, it seems, the perpetrator used his instant teleportation ability to plant the bombs on the exterior of the building beforehand. After disarming them, it was confirmed they were high-yield homemade bombs, powerful enough to destroy the entire observation deck. Identified as high-performance homemade bombs. Conclusion is that he likely built them himself." Mr. Jun-ho rubbed his shiny bald head in frustration. "Still no leads on this broadcast hijacking?" The secretary replied awkwardly, "No, sir. How he bypassed the modern security system to broadcast remains a mystery, but they still had some specific analysis. However, since no one with wave-related abilities has ever appeared before, we believe it's highly likely that he has an extremely sophisticated tech accomplice. Their temporary speculation only went this far. An accomplice. There's a high probability that person is the bomb maker." The secretary's expression was grim. "And there's one more thing I'd like to add. It seems he is very obsessed with Stardust." Everyone's eyes immediately turned to the blonde-haired woman. Through small clues, it can be confirmed that he left a message targeting her at the crime scene. The murder victim case to Stardust. In this incident, it's also been confirmed that he mentioned her directly, through the villain's words, targeting the A-class hero, in charge of Seoul Stardust. Hearing this, Mr. Jun-ho asked the person in question directly, "What did it feel like meeting that guy in person?" He pointed directly at her. Stardust stood up slightly and gave her assessment. "He's like a psychopath, who enjoys playing with people's hearts. Moreover, he's capable of organizing large-scale terrorist attacks. He is a truly dangerous villain." 2 days after the previous terrorist attack. In Dane's room, he was lying in bed groaning. "Oh God, I'm dying." He managed to get up and crawl to the kitchen to find something to eat. Just as he was chugging a bottle of orange juice, a voice suddenly rang out. "Bro, are you doing that again?" Kim Dane was startled, spat out his juice, and frantically explained. "Me. No, it's not like that, Seo-yul, I wasn't doing that." Now to introduce this girl. This is Han Seo-il, who possesses superhuman intelligence. At first, he wasn't used to her calling him bro. According to the original story, in the future, she will become an S-class villain, a genius hacker. That's in the original story, but now he has kept this girl by his side. The girl was annoyedly causing a ruckus. This is my house. Don't you act like you own the place. Because in fact, the two of them were in Han Seo-il's secret base. He chuckled dismissively. Haha. Anyway, I'm the one paying for living expenses and everything else. Han Seo-il immediately cut him off. Anyway, you should just shut up and drink, got it? Kim Dane chuckled at her cute threat. He gently patted the girl's head. All right, I get it. The warm moment didn't last long. As the embarrassed girl pulled him and the bottle away, something else has come up. Hurry up! The modern electronic room door opened and then closed. Han Seo-il sat in front of an advanced control monitor. Remember the girl named Lee Subin I mentioned before? She's a candidate to be our accomplice. Kim Dane didn't need to think much. The girl who's active on the deep web, right? I think she's a fan of yours. The girl performed a few actions and then pointed at the screen. Look, she's here. The news anchor's voice came on. Ego stick fanatics are carrying out a terrorist attack, taking hostages in the middle of downtown Incheon. The people who planted bombs in that building. He approached the screen in shock. What the hell, these crazies? Is that girl being held hostage there? What about it? Han Seo-il pointed at the person holding a gun, trembling. No, it's the girl in the mask. The news anchor announced the situation. The ego stick fanatics have declared no negotiations, only desiring terror and death. Police have confirmed that up to now, at least 3 people have died due to the terrorism, and there are still about 300 hostages trapped inside the building. His voice trailed off. Seo-il, what's our principle? The girl still remembered her brother's instructions clearly. Absolutely never kill civilians. A dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. We have to clean them up. Help me out, Seo-il. Han Seo-il nodded resolutely. He was still thinking about how to handle the other person. And that girl. I'll observe the scene and then decide. At the scene of the terrorist kidnapping incident, Stardust stood before the blazing building. She bit her lip, standing silently for a long moment. Then she spoke into her radio. Headquarters, I'm requesting permission to breach. But the other side denied permission. Await orders. After the police complete final negotiations, entry will be authorized with a kill order if necessary. This situation only fueled her resentment. It was all because of that bastard. Previous terrorist attacks were mostly the exclusive domain of villains with superpowers. This whole spectacle, more or less, had already sent major shockwaves through the villain community. But this time, he didn't make superpowers the main focus. Instead, he used explosives and kidnapping as his spearhead to put pressure on the heroes. Clearly, the image of him pushing us into a corner has sparked inspiration for other ordinary people. She gritted her teeth in frustration. Copycat kidnappings started happening the very next day. Suddenly, an announcement came through the radio. Afterward, at the scene, Ego Stick is live streaming from inside on YouTube. Check it immediately. Stunned, she immediately opened YouTube on her phone. Sure enough, the villain who once joked about the deaths of others had appeared again. Viewers quickly flooded the stream. What the hell is this? A villain? Is he really live streaming a terrorist attack? The #1 villain in the world. The chat is full of complete psychos. This is a real crime scene, dude. As long as it ain't me, free Kim Seonu. Free Kim Seonu. Free Kim Seonu. Where are the mods? Is he hijacking the broadcast again? The footage showed Agostic inside the building, confronting a group dressed exactly like him. They aimed their guns and yelled, "Who are you?" Recognizing him, they quickly became ecstatic. Our hero, Agostic, has graced us with his presence here. Agostic. It was unclear what they were expecting from him. He's here. He's really here, woo. He's gonna kill all these morons live. Just watch. Agostic's expression was anything but pleased with this crowd. Oh man, I used long-distance teleportation again? So my body is killing me, and all because of these guys. Damn it. The terrorists found Agostic's reaction strange. Suddenly, a booming laugh echoed through the room. Ha, now this is interesting. Ha. Not understanding, they laughed along awkwardly. Ha. At that moment, Han Seo-il reported 3 o'clock. The guy next to the pillar is holding the detonator. He glanced over at the man. Confirmed. And in the next instant, he met his end. A donut-shaped hole was mercilessly blasted through his body. Donut! The now shocked terrorists shouted Tong. This guy isn't Agostic. He's definitely a cop in disguise. They quickly aimed their guns at him. But before they could pull the triggers, the guns flew out of their hands. In the next moment, they found their own gun barrels pointed right at their faces. Agostic smirked, raising a hand to use his power. I've never had idiots like you as my underlings. Not once. Countless gunshots echoed as the building filled with smoke. The agonized screams of the shot men were mixed into the live stream video. The comments showed utter confusion, mixed with a few who were still rational. Whoa, aren't they on the same side? Why'd he take them all out? He just killed them all like that, so damn satisfying. Who is this agnostic guy? Why is he so brutal? You psycho, someone just died? What are the heroes doing? The villain is stepping in for them, ha ha ha. What's going to happen to the people there? Boo-hoo-hoo, is he a psycho who wants to kill everyone? Just seeing the back of Agnostic's head. He seems kinda hot, right? So many crazy people here. This is a real situation, people. Just then, the higher-ups finally gave Stardust permission to enter. Top priority is to secure the hostages from the terrorists and... Agnostic. Without a moment's hesitation, she rushed in. Confirmed. There was only one person left who hadn't been shot. The very person he was looking for. Ansho A's voice came through Appa. Save her, according to... my intel? She was dragged out and forced into this by those maniacs. She's not part of the terrorist attack. She was huddled in a corner, crying with her head in her hands. Help me. Hick. Agnostic's hand made her jump with a gasp. Hick, he ripped her mask right off her face. His voice rang out asking, did you do anything wrong, yes or no? Lee Subin, with tears in her eyes, choked out. Okay, I admit I was wrong. Hick. She began to cry even harder. Okay, I admit it, wah. Agnostic lost his patience. If you keep crying like that, you're getting a bullet. Lee Subin immediately went silent, clamping her mouth shut. He turned to the citizens who were taken hostage. He bowed his head respectfully and apologized. Even though I wasn't the one who caused this, I feel a great sense of responsibility for the copycat behavior that arose from my case. This act sent the comment section into a frenzy. What the a villain bowing his head? Wait a minute. What is even happening right now? He continued his sincere message. To the hostages and anyone affected by my actions, I will be sending compensation money to your accounts. Please check for it. I offer my deepest apologies to the 3 victims who lost their lives. I will pay the highest possible compensation. Despite this, Agnostic was worried. The weakness of this plan, oh man. Transferring from anonymous accounts is still too easy to trace. I don't know. COA will handle it, right, hon? COA sighed and urged, Appa, just bring her back now. From her tone, it was clear she had agreed to handle the matter. Okay. Agnostic immediately hoisted Lee Subin onto his shoulder. Hick! His body immediately felt like it was falling apart. The after effects of teleporting are making my body tremble. Suddenly, a powerful tremor shook the entire floor. Agnostic instantly recognized the only person who could have caused this was Stardust. She was charging in without a clear grasp of the situation. A few more days passed after the commotion at the university. At a certain coffee shop, a KBS News report was playing. The villain responsible is providing compensation in cash. The public is in chaos. The villain ego? Stick bowed his head at the scene of the terrorist attack, confirming the hostages' accounts. It is truly no easy matter. What kind of person is he? KBS investigates in depth. A blonde girl sat alone at a table, her eyes glued to her phone screen. Her finger scrolled through the comments. Everyone was buzzing. Who is this Mango Stick now? Mango Stick sounds even more legendary. Does Mango Stick only save women? When Stardust isn't being a hero, she is an ordinary person by the name of Shin Hyul. She's currently a university student, but for some reason she sighed in exhaustion. Remembering that moment, she had recklessly charged into the building with great vigor. The impact of her entry shook the entire building as she burst in. She was immediately met with the astonished face of Agnostic. She quickly locked onto her target. Agnostic. You bastard, this time I'll definitely catch you. She suddenly changed direction and lunged at him. Fortunately, Agnostic's legs were trembling at that moment, allowing him to dodge just in time. Stardust was genuinely too hasty and couldn't react in time. Oh crap. And just like that, she let the villain she needed to capture slip away. The more she thought about it, the more frustrated she got. Shin Hyul sighed in annoyance. Just then, another girl approached and pulled out a chair. She asked with gentle concern, Hyul, what's wrong? Is the homework too hard? Can't figure it out. Kim Chae-hyun. Hyul's senior startling her into looking up. Sunbae. Oh, it's nothing, really. She awkwardly turned back to her studies. I'm fine, just zoning out a little. Stardust, an A-class hero of South Korea. Her real name is Shin Hyul, but when she's a hero, she conceals her identity with a filter that causes cognitive dampening. Therefore, people think she's just an ordinary student, named Shin Hyul. And perhaps she isn't entirely ordinary, as all the men's eyes were drawn to her. Anyway, she had been worried about something lately. That is Ha-Yul constantly muttering the name Egostic. She circled that detestable name. All humans are selfish. A big question formed in her mind. But why would he save the hostages? Suddenly, the person in front of her pinched her cheek. Look at you, making that sad face again. Chae-hyun cheerfully suggested, let's put the homework aside. Let's go get some mango cake, Ha-Yul's favorite. Ha-Yul's face immediately lit up at the mention of mango. But right after, in her mind, the crazed face and perverted laugh of Egostic appeared. Ha 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 ha. Ha-Yul blinked. Her face darkened. It was clear that Chae-hyun was a keen observer of her expressions. Even mango won't solve it. No way, she was heard muttering as she snapped her pen. Mango is mine. Chae-hyun coaxed her like a child. All right, the mango is yours. It's all yours. The fire in her heart burned like a hellfire. I'm being haunted by that mango stick. No. Egostic. I will definitely expose you. Despite her anger when the mango ice cream was offered, she still ate it adorably. In the heart of Seoul, a place haunted by villains and heroes. In a very ordinary-looking house. But when the front door opens, next to the entrance there is another door. When the second door opens, surprisingly, an elevator is revealed. After entering the elevator and inputting a code, the door closes and the elevator begins to descend. Down tens of underground floors. The destination is Egostic's base. Egostic lay proudly in a glass chamber. Let's just call it the ego base for now. But COA looked annoyed. Appa. Why are you just naming someone else's house like that? He responded with a very matter-of-fact logic. Well, what's the difference? Between us, there's no my house or your house. Right. Your house is my house and my house is your house. The girl pouted contemptuously but didn't deny it. What the heck, that makes no sense. Suddenly his knee wouldn't let him be so comfortable. A jolt of pain made him squirm and shout, ugh! Han Coa criticized him irritably. Stop talking nonsense! Lying still is the only way to get better faster, so stop making a fuss. Egostic whined, don't say that. Because I just teleported. While carrying another person, I'm twice as tired, ugh. Suddenly he smiled. He was Han-Yul, a person with superhuman intelligence. He was definitely looking, with covetous eyes, at the girl sitting on the sofa. Where was I reading? His face was full of satisfaction. Although this wasn't the reason I recruited her as an assistant. But this fatigue recovery capsule is truly the best. COA watched him casually give a thumbs up. What's with that weird look? The door suddenly opened. The person he had risked his life to save walked in. I'm back. Seeing that the fridge was empty, Lee Subin shyly asked. I was wondering if anyone wanted some snacks. Egostic jumped up and shouted, huh? Aren't you a wanted fugitive? She cheerfully explained. I covered my face completely before I went out. He was stunned and alarmed. That's even more suspicious. However, Shoei put her book down and obediently ran over. But seeing this, Egostic had an unusual suspicion. Did she tell me to go catch someone just to be an errand runner? He immediately teleported in front of the girl. Why did you tell me to bring this person here? The girl unwrapped the ice cream she received and replied casually, oh, I was just going to ask her for a little help. Egostic flailed. What? He was speechless, whispering. That's something you should consider. Before someone becomes a terrorist, he was against bringing a terrorist home. COA, can you guarantee she won't start shooting up? Our house. The girl sighed and denied it. That's not going to happen. The girl stated with conviction. And this person had no intention of participating in terrorism. She was dragged out by your followers, practically forced. Then she pointed directly at the girl. Uni? Ah, no. Appa. Oops, Uni. You're Lee Subin, right? The girl was startled. Huh. How do you know my name? COA's expression was one of complete understanding. I know everything, Lee Subin Uni. The girl even knew her family's registry. Your parents were both researchers for the Han-Yul group. Right. The girl's face paled. How could you know that? COA casually recounted. I've read the posts you wrote on the deep web. Those privacy programs have a lot of holes. Uni, do you want revenge? A young girl approached Lee Subin, the Han-Yul group. Do you want revenge for what they did to your parents? I'm looking for the leaders of the Han-Yul group. I've also been hurt a lot. The girl clearly extended an invitation. We have to find them. Find those bastards and crush them. Only then will I feel at ease, Uni. Will you help me? In a flash, Egostic understood COA's reason. So that's it. That girl is also a victim of Han-Yul just like COA. When I first wanted COA to become my first assistant, I also persuaded her by promising to help her get revenge. Of course, my goal was to prevent her from becoming an S-class villain later on. But anyway, this girl, Lee. Asubin, I have no impression of her from the original story. So she's probably just a minor character. Maybe that's proof that she's harmless. But I have to see if she can be of any help to me. Suddenly he snapped out of it. When he saw the two girls hugging and crying, Agostic stood there dumbfounded amidst their sobs. Boo-hoo, honey. Soy. This is moving way too fast. I'm the only one who can't keep up emotionally. Soe. Your cool persona is shattered. He silently watched the two emotional girls for a long while, then settled back into his chamber. Well, I'll just lie here quietly. That evening at a cozy restaurant, everyone was worried, anxiously watching a young couple. The restaurant was quiet, with only the sound of the wife's sobs. Tears streamed endlessly down her cheeks. Her desperate voice wanted an answer. How could you, do this to me? However, the person opposite her glared darkly. You're ruining my appetite. I'm trying to confess my love to you, so why the long face? This incident led someone else to report it to the police. A person with a cold expression approached their table. We received a report of an assault. Please come with me to the station. The man muttered a curse. Oh, damn it. Let me eat in peace. Get lost. The police officer could wait no longer and placed a hand on his shoulder. All right, consider yourself under arrest. His body flashed with a red light. Suddenly, the police officer was teleported to the edge of the railing on the building's rooftop. The man's twisted voice echoed. Sure, we can go to the station together later? He contemptuously threw a kick. Okay, but let me send you on your way first. The police officer, caught off guard, couldn't defend himself, and just like that fell from the high floor. The man gave a cold smile. Who do you think you are to talk back to me? You pathetic cop! This was the A-class villain, Kim Hawk the spatial teleporter. The world appeared in a daze. A scream echoed. Do you think killing me will change this world? Han Seoe the White Witch, a Class A villain, with a completely different appearance, currently Stardust. The hero's expression was unclear. A voice cut through the flashback. Appa back to the present. Han Seoe, 16 years old, an orange juice enthusiast, yelled, You drank all my orange juice again, didn't you? Lee Subin, who was washing dishes, spoke up awkwardly. Seoe, I'm sorry. I was the one who drank it. I'll buy you more. Seoe, who had been confronting her brother, ran over to hug her. The girl's attitude changed in a flash, smiling brightly. It's okay, honey. Agostic, witnessing this, grimaced with a disdainful look. She treats me completely differently. He suddenly spoke up and asked, By the way, have you finally stopped pretending to be a boy? The girl immediately yelled angrily, Appa! Agostic seized the opportunity to tease her. Ha ha ha! The three of them lived a happy and peaceful life. Recalling the misfortune from the original story, Han Shoei, with her superhuman intellect, was the sole survivor of the Flowering Project, conducted by the Han Yul group. Hundreds of children were used as subjects in illegal experiments. One day, a child developed unforeseen complications. Everyone involved died except for Seoe. The entire building collapsed that day. Afterward, her body covered in wounds, the little girl escaped from the research facility, hiding in a basement, and building a hideout like the current one. She lived alone like that for many years, until he found her. Agostic's sudden appearance came when the girl was living peacefully. A chair fell with a loud crash. Coa was like a wary porcupine with its quills up. Agostic calmly made his proposal. Don't you want to take revenge on them? I also need your help. Han Coa. Before the girl's fearful eyes, he reached out his hand in a friendly gesture. I didn't come here to hurt you, and that was the beginning that led to the present. I came to save you. Unlike in the original story where, consumed by hatred, Coa became an S-class villain and died. It was truly pitiful, but he swore not to let the girl fall down that path of villainy ever again. Even so, he had a slight doubt. Now that she's my accomplice, does that count as being a villain? Anyway, let's stay on the right track. Feeling his stare, Coa turned around to argue, What are you looking at? You don't understand anything, so why are you staring? Agostic's gaze shifted to the other person. As for Subin, her parents were both researchers, but they passed away. She studied on her own and got into a prestigious university. He knew quite a bit about this girl. Major in computer engineering. She'll probably assist Coa with technical stuff in the future. He leisurely took a sip of water. Although she's a character I've never known and is somewhat suspicious, I have to admit, her cooking skills are excellent. Suddenly, Coa held up a small spider. It's done. The external positioning sensor. Agostic took it with the look of annoyance. What's this tracker for? The girl clicked her tongue, exasperated. Tutste, have you already forgotten our profession? The girl pointed to the person on the screen. It's for the guy on the villain list that you chose. He was utterly shocked. The teleporter is him, Igostic knew very well. About his abilities. This guy can teleport infinitely over short distances. Without taking any damage, he can't be controlled by external forces. Extremely difficult to deal with. The girl grinned excitedly again. The harder the opponent, the sooner we have to deal with them. He had a splitting headache. Do you even understand the pain of teleporting continuously? How exhausting it is. COA cheered him on. Get to work, Igostic. They quickly set off. Their destination was a small apartment in a remote area. Igostic, hiding on a building, was full of anxiety. COA, is it okay for me to go in now? The girl urged him on. What? You're not in yet. Hurry up and go. Still, he was nervous and tense. Teleporting right into the living room like this? Is that really the right move? What if he's already there? COA sighed and repeated herself. How many times do I have to tell you? You shoot a bullet with the tracking device attached. Even if he dodges the bullet with teleportation, he'll still get tagged. Igostic looked at the shiny gun again. What? The girl was starting to get annoyed. Why? Because I made it faster than a bullet. You're a liberal arts major, so you wouldn't get it even if I explained. Just go in. Still, he hesitated. But wouldn't it be faster to just take him out on the street? COA felt like flipping a table because of her brother's personality. He never goes out on the street in the first place. He only uses teleportation. I already investigated and prepared this plan beforehand. Geez, this is so frustrating. The girl impatiently chugged a bottle of water. Lee Subin next to her nervously cheered, Go, Igostic, you can do it. Hearing that the girl shyly followed suit, Yeah, go, Igostic. Igostic felt a surge of strength. All right. Thanks, let's begin. He abruptly teleported into the criminal's house, just as the man finished showering. The man was startled by his appearance. Ugh! COA immediately shouted, Oppa shoot! He raised the gun and pulled the trigger. Strangely, 2 small spiders shot out at an unbelievable speed. But as expected, Kim Hawk instantly vanished on the spot. Igostic threw down his gun and swore. Damn it, COA did the tracking sensor stick. On COA's end, she had a clear view of the situation. It hit Subin Uni, give me his location. She quickly pinpointed his location. He's currently 500 meters east of here. Without a second thought, he followed the instructions. Okay? Suddenly, he appeared in the middle of the street. Huh, who is that person? Well, what the heck? The people around immediately recognized him. Hey, isn't that Igostic, huh? It really is him. He frowned, scanning his surroundings. Damn it, this situation wasn't in the plan. His appearance immediately went viral on social media. At the university lecture hall, Shin Ha-yul was focused on her studies, unaware of what was happening. Suddenly, a voice came over her earpiece. Alert! Igostic has appeared in the middle of the city. Superhero. A Stardust, prepare for dispatch by order of the association. She shot up in alarm, shouting, What? Everyone in the class turned to look at her. Sorry, everyone. Ha-yul hastily packed her things and left. Excuse me, she rushed out. What kind of trick is he pulling this time? Igostic. COA rechecked the tracker. Oppa. Over there at the intersection ahead, Igostic quickly spotted Kim Hawk, staggering as he tried to get away. He's been hit. Just then the light turned red. He recklessly jumped out to block the way. Forget Hanki, just come on. Cello's panicked voice rang in his ears. His impatience to catch the A-rank criminal made him careless while crossing the street. The truck was speeding towards him at a dizzying pace. It was uncertain if he could react in time to escape with his life. While fleeing, Kim Hyuk-kia suddenly remembered that fateful day. Hey, Kim Hyuk-kia, you took our money and ran off. You really enjoyed that, didn't you? Back then, Kim Hyuk-kia was weak and helpless. He could only whimper and beg. I'll pay it back. Please just spare me. Feeling it wasn't sincere enough, he started to scream and plead, I'll pay it back. These words annoyed the leader. He couldn't stand it anymore. He mercilessly pressed his cigarette against the rope tying up Kim Hyuk-kia. To hell with it. Witnessing this scene, he struggled even more violently. No, sir, please don't. I was wrong. Please just spare me this once. No matter how much he begged, the rope had already burned through and he plummeted towards the sea. At this point, with nothing left to lose, Kim Hyuk-kia suddenly started cursing fiercely. Damn it! You bastards! As his face was about to hit the water, he unleashed all his pent-up fury in a massive roar. I curse you all to hell. But at that very moment, Kim Hoi-kia suddenly vanished. And just as the other men were about to leave, he unexpectedly reappeared nearby. This bizarre phenomenon made the men's faces turn pale with fear. What the hell? As for Kim Hoi-kia, seeing himself completely unharmed, he was bewildered. He didn't understand a thing. Huh, what? When they regained their composure, the men rushed towards him to capture him. Soon Kim Hoi-kia was surrounded. But he didn't move a muscle. After standing still for a moment, he clenched his fists, his heart filled with glee. This means no one in the world can catch me now. With that thought, he quickly vanished, causing the two men to crash into each other as he fled. No one could react in time. The truck driver, realizing someone was there, slammed on the brakes, but the person had already disappeared, reappearing inside the driver's cab. This startled the driver into a panic. Seeing that he was still safe, Kim Hoi-kia grew annoyed. Damn it! Realizing the situation was precarious, he turned and quickly fled. Even though I timed it perfectly, he still dodged it. Damn it, just as the driver got out of the truck, Kim Hoi-kia had teleported to the roof of a nearby building. He carefully observed the situation. He gritted his teeth in frustration. That must be Ego Stick! Did he really take out two villains? And for no personal reason. The more he thought, the harder it was for Kim Hoi-kia to swallow his anger. We have nothing to do with each other. Down below as he stepped out of the truck, Ego Stick was surrounded by a crowd of civilians. Yes. I'm busy working, so I can't talk much. Oh, don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt any of you. Now then, go to hell. An A-rank villain with the ability to teleport. As these words were spoken, a crazy idea flashed through Kim Hoi-kia's mind. Could it be that he specializes in hunting down villains and finishing them off? Just as he snapped out of his thoughts, Ego Stick suddenly appeared. And from then on, wherever Kim Hoi-kia went, he followed. Trash belongs in the trash can. Scummy villains must be erased from this world. Now come here. One piece of trash I get to clean up today, you. Being tailed so relentlessly, he went mad and hastily grabbed a nearby civilian. Why do I still hear that guy's voice ringing in my ears? Kim Hoi-kia immediately threw the person behind him and ran. Before the girl could even hit the ground, Ego Stick had already reached out and caught her. Oh my goodness. While the girl was still stunned, he gently asked, Miss, are you all right? His gentleness made the girl blush. Yes. After teleporting continuously, Kim Hoi-kia was exhausted, unable to take it anymore. He collapsed. Why me? After letting the girl rest, Ego Stick turned his attention to his main target, a rank villain, the teleporter. You have nothing to say. He took out his handgun and pressed it directly against his head. Then you've admitted your guilt. Being berated like this? Even though Kim Hoi-kia was barely conscious, he had to retort. Ego Stick sneered back. Damn it, you're a villain too! Yeah, but at least I'm not a scumbag like you. Without missing a beat, he turned and yelled to the crowd of onlookers, Everyone, this piece of trash has stolen tens of billions and murdered 4 innocent people. Those people were husbands, a father's friends, and someone's son. Do you want to spare this cold-blooded murderer asked like that? Those present didn't hesitate to give a short answer. Finish him. That's right, finish him. Do it. Hearing this, Kim Hoi-kia struggled frantically. You sons of bitches, how does yelling finish him make you any different from me? Ego Stick heard the crowd's response and smiled with satisfaction. Actually, your greatest crime is that later on, you'll become an S-rank villain, murder hundreds and torment Stardust countless times. Snapping out of his thoughts, his expression changed as he threatened in a low voice. But you're saying those two things are the same. Sorry, but it looks like you're going to die here. Immediately after, a painful scream echoed, making Ego Stick cautiously look around. What met his eyes was the joyful excitement of the civilians. Their reaction couldn't help but surprise him. What the hell, they just saw someone get shot and killed. Shouldn't they be panicking and screaming? With the job done, he stood up bewildered, observing the delighted expressions of the crowd. This world, aside from the superpowers, isn't much different from my old one. But it's at times like these that I truly realize I'm in another world. The people here are really hard to understand. After thinking for a moment, Ego Stick pushed the thought aside. He took off his hat to greet them. But I'm a villain, you know. Aren't you all scared? Seeing his expression, the surrounding civilians became a bit wary. Just then a familiar voice rang out. Ego Stick knew exactly who it was. He quickly looked up at the sky. He exclaimed, Damn it, Stardust, I've drawn too much attention for too long. Stardust quickly landed, pointing straight at his face and yelling, "You bastard!" Ego Stick paid her no mind, focusing only on admiring the newcomer. Normally, she's just a college student. A bit cold, but when she becomes a hero, she changes her tone to sound like she's from a historical drama. At this thought, simp mode was activated. She's so freaking cute. However, Stardust misunderstood his expression. What have you done? No matter how mesmerized he was, Ego Stick still played the part of a villain perfectly. What do you mean, what have I done? I just took care of a vicious A-rank villain, who was both a murderer and a bank robber. I was just doing the work a hero should be doing. Faced with these words, Stardust couldn't argue. Seeing her reaction, he continued, I didn't do anything wrong, did I? A rank villains, by definition, can be judged on the spot by heroes. After all, unable to argue, she changed the subject completely. Ego Stick, do you think you're a hero? This question left Ego Stick stunned. I'm a villain. At this, he suddenly realized something. At this rate, there must be a lot of people filming and praising. Stardust. This place is packed. Perfect. Snapping out of his thoughts, he chuckled and clapped nonchalantly. As expected of Stardust. A villain like me punishing the wicked. It's definitely against the rules. But I truly can't stand up to the rock-solid spirit of justice in her. I suppose I should retreat for today. These words caused a stir among the crowd. That's right. Are villains only allowed to fight heroes? He sounds so cool when he says that. She was late after all. There's no way she could have caught a teleporter. To be honest, Ego Stick didn't do anything wrong. These words left Stardust bewildered and sad, and she wasn't the only one. Ego Stick also felt like the world had gone completely haywire. What is this something feels wrong? Just then, Han Xiaoyan urged him through his earpiece. Bro, stop messing around. Let's go now. Spurred on by her and the current situation, he frantically explained, no. I didn't mean that I was right. I'll keep doing evil deeds, and Stardust can just keep trying to stop me. Pausing for a moment, he switched back to his badass persona. Well then, that's all for today. After speaking, he immediately used his power and vanished, with nothing left to gawk at. The crowd also dispersed, leaving a pensive Stardust behind. We should get going at 2. Yeah, let's go. When everyone had left, she walked over to the dead Kim Hyuk-kia. Her heart heavy with melancholy, she returned to the base. The moment he got back, Ego Stick collapsed. Han Xiaoyan was ready, calling out, Subin Uni over here quickly. Called over, Lee Subin rushed to his side in a panic. What happened? She knelt, assessing the situation as she explained. This is a side effect of his teleportation ability. After checking him over, the two girls dragged him back to his room together. Okay, 1, 2, just then, the phone in his pocket vibrated. It turned out, an article about this afternoon's event had been posted. Freedom Forum, popularity poll. Who do you like more, the badass big bro Ego Stick, or the old-fashioned Stardust? Definitely him for me. That evening, Stardust sat on a building silently reading that post. After reading it, she couldn't hide her sadness. Sitting atop the building, Stardust recalled the painful memories from when she was Shin Ha-yul, a 17-year-old student. A tragedy had struck. Clang. Mom, Dad, seeing her anguished state. The robber smugly held the wallet he had just stolen. He should have just handed it over quietly. After examining his loot for a moment, he put it away and pulled out a handgun to threaten her. Go on, blame your stupid parents. Even with a gun to her head, Shin Ha-yul at that time had nothing left to lose, so she didn't show any fear. But not getting the reaction he wanted, the robber grew bored, smirked, and put his gun away. You're a lucky one, aren't you? With that, the robber threw down his cigarette, turned, and walked away, letting her parents' murderer leave. A helpless Shin Ha-yul could only collapse and sob uncontrollably. If only I had the power to protect my parents. But no matter how much she regretted it, what happened had happened. Mom, Dad, I will end that bastard. After that vow, Shin Ha-yul could only sit by her parents' bodies, crying until she had no tears left. Just then a flash of light cut through the gloomy sky. Immediately after, a meteor shot straight down into the small alley. The student Shin Ha-yul, who was crying, looked up when she saw the strange light. As she looked up, a blinding light assaulted her eyes. The alley was suddenly filled with a mystical radiance. As the light gradually faded, Shin Ha-yul lay unconscious. Her black hair had turned a brilliant gold. The next day at the secret base, after enough rest, Dane finally opened his eyes. Han Xiaoyan was waiting by the glass, ready to cheer at this moment. You're awake before he could say anything. He was already worn out by the girl. Han Seo-yeon. Ah, well, you get to enjoy a hot meal. While he was eating, Han Seo-yeon suddenly brought her phone over. Here, eat and listen. She immediately started reading the article on the screen for him. Compilation: The Truth About a Rank Villain Ego Stick. Just stating the facts about the A-rank villain Ego Stick. Reading the article carefully, Han Seo-yeon recounted his numerous achievements. Eliminated the A-rank villain Alai. Eliminated the S-rank villain Zodiac. For the fed-up citizens of South Korea. He also staged and suppressed special situations at the observatory, without any casualties. It seemed the article was over, but she read on. At the same time, he also took down the fanatical cultists who were causing trouble and taking hostages in his name, and then paid compensation to the hostages. Pausing, Han Seo-yeon read the rest. The A-rank villain, the teleporter, had been in hiding for a long time. Despite a bounty on his head, authorities considered his capture to be extremely difficult. Truly, Ego Stick is nothing like a villain. As if that wasn't shocking enough, she smiled brightly and revealed more information. 7,842 likes and 12 dislikes. What do you think? Hearing this, a confused Dane quickly asked. What about Stardust? Hearing that name, Han Seo-yeon couldn't hide her annoyance. That's Stardust, girl. Look at the comments right below this. Without waiting for him to get his phone, she read them aloud. Honestly, Ego Stick is better than Stardust. What has Stardust even done until now? Hearing this, Diane, who was eating, nearly choked, not stopping. She read on. King Ego Stick has already taken down 3 A-rank villains. Calming down, Dane stammered, So why is Stardust getting flamed? At this question, Han Seo-yeon thought for a moment, then replied, probably because out of the 3 A-rank heroes, she's the least active. Actually, Shadow Walker and Icicle have single-handedly saved tens and even hundreds of people. Stardust hasn't done nearly as much. After reading, she hesitated, watching his reaction. See, that's how people are reacting, hearing these comments. Dane couldn't hide his despair. Is that what most people think? As if that wasn't shocking enough. Han Seo-yeon showed him the screen displaying a strange mango meme. Yep. Meanwhile, Ego Stick even has his own official fan club. This information made Dane collapse, kneeling and pulling at his hair. No? Impossible. These crazy people, what kind of villain has a fan club? Unable to accept the situation, he stood up, his mind spinning. All right, a plan. I can't let things stay like this. After some thought, Dane made a decision. Time to start preparing for the next terrorist attack. All right, Seo-yeon, Subin, you two can handle it, right? Called out unexpectedly, the 2 girls were stunned and panicked. Hey again, me. Ignoring their weary expressions, Dan was full of excitement and anticipation. Somehow I have to show the people of South Korea what a real villain is and who a real hero is. Just you wait, Stardust. I'll put you back on top. The person he was waiting for, at that moment, was contentedly enjoying a mango smoothie. So good, this is the best. While sipping her drink, Shin Ha-yul suddenly noticed something. It turned out the cherry blossoms outside were in full bloom, creating a poetic and romantic scene. But in her mind, there were only the criticisms from everyone. Being a great hero, are we? Only showing up after the work is done. You probably couldn't even catch the teleporter. Remembering this, Shin Ha-yul sighed, gaining momentum. Countless negative thoughts washed over her will like a tsunami. The public was fanatical about Ego Stick, the one who slaughters villains, more than the heroes who only deal with them through suspended sentences. But she had tried her best. Why was she still being criticized, not letting herself drown in negativity? Shin Ha-yul slapped herself a few times. Come on, get a grip. Just then a familiar voice called out, Ha-yul, why are you slapping yourself? Hearing the voice, she snapped out of it. She saw Kim Chae-hyun smiling gently, sitting down next to her. Her senior looked at her junior with a bright smile and suggested, the weather is so nice, let's take a little break. Being invited, Shin Ha-yul didn't hesitate to agree. You're right. Since when did the cherry blossoms bloom like this? Kim Chae-hyun excitedly took out her phone. Oh, that's right. Do you want to see this? It's really popular these days, but I bet you don't know about it, Ha-yul. She then showed her a picture of the dancing mango meme to introduce it. What do you think? It's hilarious, right? Lately, I've found Ego Stick to be really charismatic. Seeing that image, Shin Ha-yul gritted her teeth, feeling resentful. Even you, Chae-hyun Sunbae, like him. While scrolling through her phone, she suddenly noticed something. Oh, what's this? Kim Chae-hyun showed her the screen. Ha-yul Ego Stick is live streaming right now. Hearing this, she was surprised. What? Just as she took out her phone, a familiar voice rang out. Ego Stick is once again aiming his spear at Stardust. She immediately returned to the association, then deployed to the scene. As soon as the announcement ended, Shin Ha-yul slammed the table and stood up. Chae-hyun Uni, something urgent came up, so I have to go first. Sorry, with that. She turned and ran quickly out of the cafe, before Chae-hyun could even say a word. Huh, Ha-yul. As she ran, Shin Ha-yul was determined. Just you wait. Ego Stick, this time I'll definitely catch you. Meanwhile, at a cliffside, a familiar screen appeared. Then Ego Stick's voice rang out. Long time no see. Hello, everyone. I am the villain Ego Stick. After introducing himself, he eagerly watched the comments scrolling by. I wonder what the reaction will be. This is crazy. Are they treating this like some pop-up event? Not thinking about it further, Ego Stick held up his phone and spoke playfully. There's been a lot of news about me lately, huh? I'm not a hero, I'm a villain, you know. There's even a fan club for me. At this, he gave a sinister smile. He aimed his phone down at the railway tracks. Perhaps everyone has misunderstood. I am a villain. Pointing to the people tied up as hostages, he then pointed to the train in the distance. Ah, the train is about to arrive. Are you watching Stardust? As soon as he asked the question, a comment popped up. He's still a die-hard Stardust fan, isn't he? Paying it no mind, he began to introduce the game. The rules are simple. You choose. Ego Stick panned the camera down to the tracks to apply pressure. Keep the lever as it is to save one person at the cost of 5. Or sacrifice one for the many. Pull the lever and only one person dies. As he said this, he thought of Lee Subin, who was controlling the train. He continued to apply pressure. Don't think too quickly. If you try to pull these people off the tracks, I'll derail the train immediately. Got it. Stardust. After explaining the rules, Ego Stick invited her. You only have one choice. And that is to pull the lever. Just as he finished speaking, Stardust appeared. You bastard Ego Stick. The girl didn't think twice. She shot straight down, standing above. He watched with satisfaction. So you've arrived. Stardust looked at the people taken hostage. She began to calculate. If I try to save them, the passengers on the train will be in danger. Think Stardust. How can I save everyone? Seeing her hesitant expression, Ego Stick urged her on against his conscience. Come on, come on. The Ben Erkin train is approaching the station. What will our dear Stardust choose to... Before she could even act, the viewers were already guessing. These comments made Ego Stick very satisfied. As expected, everyone thinks Stardust will pull the lever. But I believe the Stardust I know isn't that kind of person. Just then, Lee Subin screamed frantically through his earpiece. Dane, she's running towards me. What should I do? Seeing her flying figure, he comforted her. We're live streaming, so I'm muting the broadcast mic for a sec. Don't worry, she's not coming to hurt you, Subin. Just keep moving forward. Lee Subin became a little more confident. Okay. Having successfully reassured her, Ego Stick continued playing his villain role. Okay, mic's back on. Oh, is this really okay? What is Stardust doing? Can she really do that? She'll be smashed to pieces. Stardust, why are you running into a suicide mission? Stop! But despite his words, the Stardust and the train still collided head-on. With all her strength, she tried to encourage herself. Just have to hold on a little longer. But the train suddenly sped up, surprising Ego Stick. Is it getting faster? Realizing something was wrong, he panicked. Subin, wake up. But she had fainted long ago and didn't respond. He panicked. I didn't foresee this. Looking at Stardust standing stunned at the foot of the mountain, Ego Stick continued his psychological attack. Come on, the Ben Erkin train is entering the station. What will our dear Stardust choose now? Though he said that outwardly, in his heart he looked on with great expectation at the girl below. What will the righteous one choose? The girl he had high hopes for was struggling with a painful mental battle. After thinking for a moment, Stardust gritted her teeth and flew straight towards the train. Witnessing this action, Ego Stick was very satisfied. He tipped the brim of his hat. Good. Up to this point, everything is going exactly according to plan. Satisfied with the developments, he carried the terrified, struggling girl closer to the tracks. When they arrived, Ego Stick gently placed the pale-faced girl onto the tracks. But he didn't stop there. He even used tape to secure her. Despite his actions, Ego Stick was screaming internally. Oh, this is exhausting. If Shadow Walker were here, we could do this at night. It would probably be more comfortable. Preparing for a daytime terrorist attack, I have to be mindful of so many things. No matter his complaints, he still finished tying the final knot. After securing the hostage, Ego Stick used his power to teleport up to the cliff Observing the 5 people tied to the tracks below, he was very pleased with the result. I'm a little proud of myself. Looking at the peaceful scenery, Ego Stick recalled some information. In the original story, Stardust becomes weaker after encounters with villains, but in return she grows more mature. If I eliminate the villains to help her, she will lose her chance to grow. Snapping out of his thoughts, he reached out and wrote a few familiar lines on the ground. After writing, Ego Stick smiled smugly to himself. Just think of this as a special physical training area just for you. Back in the present, Stardust charged straight for the train. Startled, he hurriedly stopped her. What are you doing? You'll get splattered. Stardust, no. The scene sparked a heated discussion among viewers at home, but Agostic felt a sense of despair as he read the comments. But this wasn't what I intended. He said that outwardly, but inwardly he was extremely pleased. This is exactly what I intended. At that moment, Stardust crashed into the train. The front of the locomotive crumbled as she stood on the cliff's edge, Agostic observed. He analyzed her abilities, both her muscular strength and flight capabilities. Both were lacking by about 2%, still just a near A-rank hero. Stopping this train might be beyond her abilities, but there was one characteristic about her that others didn't know. Observing Stardust's tense and determined face, Agostic made a sincere observation when faced with danger. Her powers explode with incredible force. Despite that thought, Stardust was being pushed back, but he was still confident she could absolutely stop it. With intense belief, the train's engine started to sputter. However, it didn't stop, it pushed even harder. This phenomenon made Agostic uneasy. The train's speed is even faster now. Realizing this, he quickly called his accomplice, but Lee Subin had fainted long ago. Subin, Vince! Subin, wake up. There was no response. Agostic fell into a state of panic. I didn't anticipate this. At this rate, the worst-case scenarios could happen. Like a movie, it played out in his mind. Could it be? If the people tied to the tracks lose their lives, then no matter how bright and flowery her path may be, Stardust's image as a brave superhero will surely be shattered. Thinking of that possibility, Agostic frantically pulled at his hair. What should I do? At the same time, the train was closing in on the unfortunate girl. Noticing this, Stardust gritted her teeth, mustering a strength far beyond her normal limits. Seeing the train still not stopping, she used all her might to halt it. Even though the front of the train was nearly destroyed, it didn't slow down at all. Standing above, Agostic nervously watched Stardust below. Please, please, please! As the distance between the train and the hostages gradually narrowed, all he could do was pray. Please, come on! Suddenly, Agostic realized something. It turned out that after all her effort, the train was finally stopped by Stardust. And this entire scene was recorded by a phone. Witnessing this miracle unfold, Agostic's joy was evident on his face. She stopped it. We've temporarily escaped this dead end. Amidst this chaotic and desolate scene, he was filled with anticipation. Come on, show yourself. Stardust, is she okay? The train was too fast. Looking at the phone screen that was live streaming, Agostic started to have wild thoughts. Could she have died? Could it be at that very moment, the familiar figure of Stardust appeared? Seeing that the girl he was waiting for was safe, he couldn't contain his excitement and cheered loudly. A moment later, realizing he was still playing the villain, he quickly composed himself. No, that's not it. You stopped it. You really stopped it. You could really handle that, huh? My plan wasn't supposed to be like this. But as he shifted his attention to the dazed Stardust, Ego Stick said to himself, she found her own way to resolve the situation. This dilemma, in her own way. That's right. This declaration caused the comments to explode once again. Reading each line, his face beamed with joy. Yes, this is the reaction I wanted, see? With overwhelming pride, he took the opportunity to praise the girl standing below relentlessly. This is the hero named Stardust. Look at how her powers explode, just from her desire to save people. Stardust, after using every last bit of her strength, finally couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed. Seeing this, his eyes filled with anxiety. Disregarding his image, he immediately jumped down to check on the situation. Getting closer to the girl, his heart ached as he heard her soft curse. That bastard Agostic! No matter how sad he felt, Agostic remained focused on the current issue. All right, Stardust. You did very well in a way that I never imagined. This is your victory. With those words, he gently closed her eyes to let her rest, then added a few final words. Okay, I'm leaving now. Get some good rest. Before long, other heroes will arrive to help you. After letting Stardust rest, He stood up, took off his hat, and expressed his regret. Yes, my act of terror ends here. Thank you all for watching. Following that statement, the screen went black. A shocking comment was posted. What's with the ambiguous atmosphere between those two? The next morning at the secret base, an energetic Han So-yoon ran around everywhere. Wake up, let's go, you sleepyheads. The two of them, Dain and Lee Subin, were completely exhausted after yesterday's event. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Good morning, So-yoon. This sight made the little girl judge them a bit. It was just one terror attack. Why is everyone so exhausted? Without further complaint, Han So-yoon pointed to a table full of enticing food. Come on, seeing the hot dishes. The other two's eyes lit up like headlights. So-yoon, did you prepare all this? Dain was touched. He walked over and patted Han So-yoon's head in praise. Thanks, So-yoon, it was nothing. After a moment of shyness, the little girl pinched his waist directly. While Dain was still writhing in pain, Han So-yoon quickly sat at the table and urged them on. Hurry up and eat before it gets cold. You're right. The three of them then sat down at the table together and began to enjoy their breakfast. Enjoy your meal, everyone. After saying that, everyone focused on enjoying the delicious food they were eating. Han So-yoon suddenly noticed the remote control nearby. She immediately reached for it. The girl ate quickly, then ran to the sofa to watch TV. Let's check out the latest news. As soon as the news started, Han So-yoon excitedly pointed at the screen. Let's see how their accomplishments from yesterday were reported. Next up in the news. Hearing these words, Dain, who was eating, couldn't hide his smug expression. My image as a villain must be deeply ingrained by now. Of course, Stardust also skyrocketed to fame, killing two birds with one stone. Just then, Han So-yoon suddenly burst out laughing. Her strange state confused him. Huh, what is it? The little girl pointed at the screen and shouted excitedly, they're saying you two are dating. At that moment, the anchor's commentary rang out. This happened after the A-rank hero Stardust stopped the train yesterday morning. First, please direct your attention to this picture. Immediately after, the moment he gently brushed her eyes to let her rest appeared. The anchor continued. Looking at this, you can clearly see, between the villain and the hero, they look just like a pair of lovers. In another corner, Shin Ha-yoon watched the entire broadcast. Unable to contain her anger, she crushed the glass in her hand. At the same time, the person in question, Dain, also shouted furiously. What the hell is this? The show's host declared that in South Korea, the most beloved villain is Agostic, and the rising superhero rookie is Stardust. The dating rumors between these two recently have really been heating up. Reporter Park. What's causing these relationship rumors to explode? Reporter Park pointed at the screen. Continuing, he said, look here, do you all recognize this? The host was surprised. Yes. This is a line of text with Stardust's name. Reporter Park slammed his hand on the table and shot to his feet. He said loudly, wrong. It's not just a simple line of text. To you, Stardust. This is the gift I give to you. That's the true meaning of it. Next, the screen showed a scene of Dain kneeling on one knee beside Shin Ha-yoon, who was unconscious. He said, all right, Stardust. You did very well in a way that I never imagined. This is your victory. Reporter Park pointed to this scene, his tone full of conviction. Look closely. If this isn't love, then what is it? When Agostic uttered those final words and closed her eyes, Stardust. She also quietly accepted it. Reporter Park asserted, if those two aren't dating, then what would you call it? Elsewhere, Shin Ha-yoon sat alone in a classroom, watching that discussion. In a gloomy mood, she rested her chin on her hand and thought to herself, is everyone out of their minds? Rumoring that I'm dating that crazy villain? Absolutely not. That's never happening. Shin Ha-yoon pondered for a moment, then asked herself, what's going on? Clearly, she was filled with hatred and loathing for that guy, but now there was an inexplicable feeling mixed in. As Shin Ha-yoon was sadly muttering to herself, a girl approached. It was Kim Chae-hyun with a sympathetic expression. She said to Shin Ha-yoon, Ha-yoon, your soul is exhausted from studying. Then Kim Chae-hyun took out a promotional flyer for ice cream and smiled brightly. Today, let me heal you. Next, she set the flyer aside, her eyes sparkling with emotion, and said, just trust me for today. Let's go have some fun, okay? Elsewhere. Constant whining could be heard from the house. Please, please, Han So-yoon was throwing a tantrum rolling on the floor. I really want to go out and play, Lee Subin said helplessly. So-yoon, don't whine like that. Han So-yoon refused to give up. We've already committed 2 acts of terror. Now I want to go play. At that moment, Dain spoke up. Miss Subin So-yoon, how about we all go out for a bit? As soon as Han So-yoon heard this, she immediately sat up straight. No longer throwing a fit, the little girl cheered with joy. Subin also smiled. Dane held a flyer for the ice cream festival. The same one Kim Chae-hyun had earlier. He smiled and thought, this scene wasn't in the original story. But it probably won't be a problem, right? Over with Shin Ha-yoon. Her mood had improved considerably. She thought excitedly, an ice cream festival? At the ice cream festival? It was packed with people, the scene full of life. Dane exclaimed, wow! Even for a weekday afternoon, it's pretty crowded. Han Seo-yoon, holding an ice cream cone, asked Dain with confusion, Appa, you're wearing all black again. Dane laughed and replied, Seo-yoon, real men wear black. Han Seo-yoon burst out laughing. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Dane was quite surprised. Huh, is she really smiling that brightly? And she even called me Appa. Dane smiled lightly, thinking, it seems she's in a really good mood. Han Seo-yoon shouted, pointing ahead, rice ice cream, there it is. The girl immediately ran excitedly to the ice cream stand. Dane said with a smile to Lee Subin. Coming out to play was worth it, huh? Subin replied happily, yeah, isn't it? She looks so happy. Lee Subin activated her perception reduction filter, only for herself. When she was recruited by Dain, she had been on camera once. Dane tried a spoonful of ice cream. He exclaimed in surprise, oh, this is really good. He scooped another spoonful and said, Subin, you should try some too. Lee Subin blushed and shyly looked at the spoon he offered. Han Seo-yoon, standing beside them, asked innocently, what's wrong when he hurry up and eat? Lee Subin stammered, wait a minute. As she shyly opened her mouth and moved closer to the spoon, she thought, isn't this an indirect kiss? Finally, Subin tasted the spoonful of ice cream. With a look of pure enjoyment, she exclaimed, it's delicious. Han Seo-yoon had already finished her ice cream cone. She happily ran to another ice cream stand. Over there, mango-flavored ice cream. Dane quickly said, hey, wait for me. Han Seo-yoon stared with sparkling eyes at the ice cream through the glass. The little girl quickly and excitedly said to the vendor, one ice cream cone, please. The vendor smiled as he got the ice cream. He said to Dane, oh my. This little one is the spitting image of her parents. So cute. Dane was speechless. What? He closed his eyes and just accepted it. Ha ha. Ah, yes, that's right. Lee Subin, standing beside him, was blushing beet red. Han Seo-yoon turned back, smiled, and quietly teased Dain. This dad looks older than he is, don't you think? Dane refused to back down and retorted, that's probably because of your height, not my fault. Han Seo-yoon couldn't argue back and just huffed. The vendor brought out the ice cream. Here's your ice cream, little one. 1 cone and 2 cups. Everyone took their ice cream. Dain smiled and asked Han Seo-yoon, did you order for us too? The little girl replied, you're the leader of the mango stick group, so of course you have to eat mango-flavored ice cream. Dane was bewildered by his new title. He quickly asked again, mango stick. He looked at the vendor's smile and said awkwardly, it's nothing. Suddenly Dain was shocked. His eyes widened. It had turned out the vendor was showing off a design on the back of his shirt. It was a picture of Dain in his agnostic identity. He laughed. I made it myself. Looks good, right? Dane couldn't bring himself to comment. Han Seo-yoon generously gave a thumbs up. She praised totally epic. A while later, the three of them were sitting on a bench relaxing and eating ice cream. Suddenly, Dain saw something and asked Han Seo-yoon, Seo-yoon, back in the day I used to be a master at throwing darts. You know I'm about to show off my skills. I'll show you what I am made of. Han Seo-yoon, as if reading his mind, asked, Hey Appa, are you planning to cheat using your telekinesis? Dain immediately froze up. The employee said, We're having an event right now. The female employee at the dart-throwing booth introduced, If you hit all 10 targets, you'll win a 10-scoop ice cream cone. Han Seo-yoon said, I actually prefer the second prize. That teddy bear is so cute. Dain asked the employee. Either way, the first prize winner can choose whatever they want, right? The employee agreed. Yes. Dain confidently promised Han Seo-yoon. Seo-yoon, did you hear that? I'll get it for you. He thought to himself, I'll pretend to concentrate. Find a discreet moment to use my power and throw. Simple. At that moment, Kim Chae-hyun walked up to the dart-throwing booth. She asked the employee, how much is 1 round? She caught the attention of Dain standing nearby. He thought to himself, that person looks really familiar. A moment later, Dain was startled. He remembered she was Kim Chae-hyun, Shin Ha-yoon's senior at university. Kim Chae-hyun said, Wow, Ha-yoon. Look, the prize is a 10-scoop ice cream cone. Another female voice rang out. Let me try to win one for you, Uni. Han Seo-yoon saw Dain frozen in place and asked, What are you doing? Hurry up and throw. At that moment, Subin and Han Seo-yoon finally noticed Shin Ha-yoon. The group of 3 broke out in a cold sweat, not daring to make a sound. Shin Hyun glanced at the three of them. She looked at Dain, and he was still frozen in his dart-throwing stance. Kim Chae-hyun excited beamed with a radiant smile. She pointed ahead. Hyun, they have rice ice cream over there. The two went to the ice cream shop. Kim Chae-hyun was completely engrossed in enjoying the flavor. This is so delicious. In a cheerful mood, she looked over at Shin Hyun. Hyun, you have to try this. Shin Hyun leaned down and tasted the ice cream with her lips. After eating, her cheeks flushed and her eyes sparkled brightly. It's really good. Kim Chae-hyun held the ice cream container and smiled with satisfaction. Finally, your facial muscles have relaxed. Hyun, it seemed both of them were drawn by something. They turned their heads at the same time. She took Hyun's hand, her heart filled with the radiant rosy glow. Let's go over there is the ice cream flavor that Hyun likes the most. Looking towards the food stall, it was mango flavor. Let's go try it. Upon seeing the mango, Shin Hyun's eyes sparkled, radiating extreme delight. But soon her mood suddenly turned gloomy. Her head drooped. The vendor cheerfully turned his back, revealing a chibi drawing on the back of his shirt. I made it myself, Kim Chae-hyun exclaimed in admiration. Oh my god, that's so cute. Afterward, the two girls sat relaxing on a cool park bench. Kim Chae-hyun stretched out comfortably. This is so nice. She tilted her head slightly to look at Shin Hyun. Hyun likes it too, right? From sad, Hyun broke into a positive smile. Yeah. Of course, Unnie. Then Shin Hyun's eyes closed as she savored the moment. Under the large cherry blossom tree, a few petals fell lightly. Shin Hyun thought, how long has it been since I've been able to go out and enjoy the scenery like this? The corners of her lips curved into a smile, her eyes closed. This is wonderful. Before long, Kim Chae-hyun pointed at the food stall up ahead. Hyun, after we finish this, let's go try that one, okay? Shin Hyun watched her intently as she got excited. Darts immediately. Shin Hyun smiled brightly. That looks like fun. The decorated balloons were neatly arranged on top of the stall, vibrantly colored. The friendly female employee handed the toy darts to the two girls. We're having an event right now. If you hit all 10 targets, you'll win a 10-scoop ice cream cone. She gently looked at them and replied, Ah, yes. Her distinctive blue eyes scanned the area. Her gaze fell upon the three players who were sweating profusely. They looked just like a young married couple. But why does the little girl have silver hair? No, maybe their niece would make more sense. She stared for a long time at the anxious Dain. She thought to herself, that man, why does he seem so familiar? While she was lost in thought, Kim Chae-hyun behind her shouted, Hyun, give it a shot! Hearing that, she immediately nodded. Okay. Shin Hyun threw. The dart emitted a brilliant orange light. Kim Chae-hyun, delighted, grinned from ear to ear. One shot, a bullseye. Dain, watching with sweat dripping down, felt a bit uneasy. He thought to himself, Stardust's powers are monstrous strength and the ability to fly. The longer I look at her, the more I realize her strength. This monstrous strength isn't just simply strong. Then he used the item in his hand. To be more precise, at that moment, Shin Hyun made another perfect throw, showcasing her superior physique. An excited cheer rang out. That's 2 hits! He lowered his head, feeling a bit disappointed. He thought, right now her strength only explodes when necessary, but later she'll become a superhuman. Far beyond human limits, Hyun threw the dart in a cheerful mood. Not just her 5 senses, but also her 6th sense will develop. In other words, her instincts will let her know the moment something is off. Hyun found it strange watching the dejected Dain. He racked his brain to explain it. At this very moment, she's sensitive enough to sense, could that guy be ego? Stick, if I reveal my identity right here, an image of Shin Hyun becoming a superhuman appeared in his mind. She'll throw me in jail immediately. Shin Hyun and Kim Chae-hyun hugged in joy, which made him stumble backward. A dart thrown by Shin Hyun with great speed hit a balloon dead on. Kim Chae-hyun, standing beside her, praised her endlessly. Hyun, you're so good. You hit all 10? Hearing that, she became shy and bashful. It's nothing, really. It was easy. The female employee cheerfully handed the two girls the 10-scoop ice cream cone. Here's your 10-scoop ice cream. She unconsciously turned to Dain. Huh? Aren't you going to throw, sir? He was stunned and replied in surprise, Oh, wow. The person next to me was so good at shooting that I got distracted, watching them. I'll throw right now. Dain turned to look at Han So-yoon. He smiled awkwardly and hesitated. So-yoon, watch this. I'll show you my dart-throwing skills. The little girl cheered him on but was still a bit suspicious. Hurry up. Dain held the 10 darts and thought anxiously, I don't need to use my powers. Just throw a few randomly and get out of here. He quickly threw them decisively forward. But unfortunately, his 10 throws hit all 10 balloons. Everyone was stunned, their jaws dropped. Diane, on the other hand, thought in disbelief. How on earth? Kim Chae-hyun held the 10-scoop ice cream cone, looking at him with a surprised expression. The customer next to us is also really good. The female employee brought out a teddy bear. Your friend said she wanted the teddy bear more than the first prize, right? Here, the teddy bear is ready. But Diane hastily ran away. The female employee raised her hand to stop him. Hey, wait a minute. The three of them ran off, smiling awkwardly. It's okay, we have to go. Han So-yoon quickly chimed in. Yeah, you can keep it. Kim Chae-hyun, holding the incredibly long ice cream cone, smiled brightly. Hey, over there. We'll bring it over for you. Ha-yoon, help me bring this over. Shin Ha-yoon held the bear and turned around. Okay, but halfway there, the ice cream cone, being too tall, tripped and fell. All the colorful scoops of ice cream went flying towards him. Dane saw this and thought, if even a tiny bit hits me, it's a bad ending. His eyes widened, his mouth agape. I have to avoid this at all costs. Dane's mind raced and he quickly dodged to the side where there was no ice cream, then fell face first. Everyone rushed over in a panic. Han So-yoon frantically cried out, Appa! The girl felt guilty, her mouth agape. Are you okay? Kim Chae-hyun's eyes suddenly welled up with tears, her hand covering her mouth in worry. He quickly replied, I'm fine. You don't need to worry about it. Then Diane slowly and carefully stood up, touching his neck. It's okay, I overreacted a little. I just needed to dodge a little. Come on, let's go. The girl with him was a bit annoyed. What were you thinking? Please hurry up. If we stay like this, we're going to die. We're all gonna die. Sweat dripped down Kim Den's face as he spoke mid-sentence. A dark smoke appeared behind him. Let's go, Shin Ha-ju. And he immediately turned back to look at the strange phenomenon. The sky was blazing red, filled with black and gray smoke, causing people to flee in chaos. The sharp fangs of a blue-furred crocodile were revealed. It puffed out its chest and roared loudly, Stardust! Stardust, come on out. The system panel announced, Crocodilman A-rank villain. Kim Den held the two girls. It made the girl with him blush. You two stay right here, okay? His sharp, suspicious gaze intensified. He thought, according to the original story, this monster isn't supposed to appear yet. Why is it active now? Shin Ha-ju, seeming to grasp the situation, rushed forward. Kim Jae-hyun was surprised. Ha-ju! He gritted his teeth, his pain showing. It's too late to run to the association for a cognitive filter. It's too late now. If she's the Stardust from the original story, the moment her face is revealed will be the beginning of her path of misfortune and decline. The image of the blonde woman concealing her face must not appear, because in the original story, when her face is revealed, something terrible will happen to her. Kim Den's body ached as he clenched his teeth tightly. Even if the sky falls, I won't let that happen, Kim Den shouted. Purple rays of light suddenly enveloped his body, growing brighter and stronger. Kim Den's casual clothes were blown away. He appeared in a stylish suit and hat, completely different from his usual self. I'll pack up later, okay, So-yul? The little girl behind him. What are you planning to do? Just a sec. He ordered the little girl to help him with the broadcast. So-yul sat forlornly hugging a teddy bear. Igastick, she muttered a few words to Den. The monster rampaged, tearing everything apart. Stardust if you don't show up. I'll destroy everything. Its eyes glowed yellow at the sound of the broadcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A black speaker boomed with a resonant voice. The true villain of this era. Kim Den held the mic, smiling to reveal his teeth. The public enemy of the Republic of Korea, Igostic. His voice echoed far through the speaker. You dare touch my territory, you little gator? Below it stood enraged, ready to act. What? On online forums, the internet began to buzz. One person, oh my god, is he Mango Stick? Another account said, he just admitted he's the public enemy, LOL. Someone else. Wait, wasn't he a hero before? I'm so confused. Everyone was excited. This opening is hilarious. Why does this music sound so corny? Kim Den's fearsome face appeared. He glanced down and said softly, now you will die here. 3 years ago, in the building of a large corporation, at the association's lecture hall, a voice rang out. The device before you is indispensable for a hero. A middle-aged man stood before the crowd, who sat attentively. He pointed to the modern machine beside him. This is called a cognitive dissonance filter, or just filter for short. He explained, after entering the device and coming out for a period of time, a filter will be applied to your face. Only faces with the filter applied will cause this recognition disruption. He continued, but if you reveal your face to someone who already knows what you look like, the filter will have no effect. Does everyone understand? The crowd below responded in unison. Yes. Then his expression became stern. He gripped the microphone tightly. He said, even a fool knows how dangerous it is for a hero to reveal their face. Your career goes without saying, but your entire life could be ruined. Remember this well. Shin Ha-ju sat below and shouted resolutely, yes! Back in the present, the street had become desolate. Shrouded in smoke and dust, Kim Jae-hyun and Shin Ha-ju were desperately hiding on the sidewalk. Shin Ha-ju turned her head to look around, her expression anxious. She thought to herself, it's too late to go back to HQ for a filter. What should I do? Suddenly, Shin Ha-ju clenched her fist. Looking very determined at the panicked crowd, she thought, in this situation, did I become a hero just to run away? Shin Ha-ju untied her hair bun. Her radiant blonde hair fluttered in the wind. With a resolute expression, she clenched her fist and moved forward, thinking no. Seeing this, Kim Jae-hyun panicked and shouted, Shin Ha-ju! Suddenly, the crowd looked at their phones, their expressions joyful. They screamed, it's Agostic is here! Shin Ha-ju heard them. Startled, she turned around and blankly uttered, what? Shin Ha-ju uttered, the true villain of this era. The public enemy of the Republic of Korea, Agostic. At that moment, Kim Den stood on the rooftop of a building. Beside him were two giant speakers, blasting music at high volume. Below was the green crocodile monster. Kim Den shouted, you dare touch my territory, you little gator? The crocodile, hearing this, exclaimed in surprise, what? Kim Den smiled menacingly, pointing at the crocodile monster. He said, now you will die here. Kim Den held the microphone pensively, thinking, I can't. Absolutely not. The Stardust from the original story suffered so many hardships after her face was revealed. A hero's daily life is truly important. With an angry tone, he yelled at the crocodile monster, do you even know that, you gatorhead? The crocodile monster, hearing this, roared back at Kim Den. You bastard, the one who's always acting all buddy-buddy with Stardust. Isn't that Agostic? Suddenly, the crocodile monster launched itself towards Kim Den, fast as lightning. He said, hey, why do you keep bringing up Stardust? Comments appear. Stardust's #1 fan has arrived, Mr. Gator. The crocodile rushed towards Kim Den with an enraged expression. It roared, I'll kill you right now. It quickly scrambled up the building wall. With its strength, it clung tightly to the rooftop edge. In no time, it had climbed onto the rooftop where Kim Den was standing. Seeing Kim Den, it growled fiercely, come at me. Seeing this, Kim Den teleported backwards. The crocodile monster lunged at Kim Den's spot. Suddenly, he teleported and appeared above it. He said, what do you think you're doing, dude? Kim Den struck the crocodile monster hard on the head. He said gleefully, you know my name, but you don't know I can teleport. The crocodile monster, hit unexpectedly, was startled. It flailed its limbs wildly to attack Kim Den. But no matter how it struck, he vanished before its eyes. It angrily yelled, you damn rat! Fight me head on like a man. Kim Den calmly replied, hey, I'm a villain. As he spoke, comments appeared, he's a villain. Still trying to insist he's a villain today. Kim Den looked at the comments bewildered. The comments continued, but why did Agostic rush over there? He pondered, wait a minute. I need to explain this a bit. If I ignore this, people will misunderstand that I'm here because of Stardust. Suddenly, Kim Den stopped and shouted at the crocodile monster. Hold on, listen to me. The crocodile monster replied, fine, make it quick. Kim Den shouted questioningly, yeah. But first I have to ask you this. Why did you suddenly attack me? The crocodile monster answered without hesitation. That's obvious. I've targeted Stardust. And you seem to care a lot about Stardust, so you are my enemy. Hearing this, Kim Den was stunned and thought to himself, what the hell? What kind of logic is that? Comments appear. Even that dumb villain knows Manga Stick. Likes Stardust. He doesn't know Agostic can teleport. But he knows he likes Stardust. Ha ha ha, two guys fighting over one girl, huh? Didn't Agostic come here in Stardust's place? What's this? What's going on? How did she get involved with two guys like this, ha ha ha? Why now of all times? The crocodile monster pointed at the bewildered Kim Den, shouting, and what's more, you were the one who said you'd kill me first. Comment appears, haha, so true. Kim Den, stunned, replied, when did I say that? The crocodile monster, enraged, its aura flaring like a fire. It shouted, you said, you dare touch my territory, you little gator, and threatened, now you will die here. It continued to question, you did say that, didn't you? Kim Den fumbled for an excuse, No way, I didn't say it like that. Comments appear. Why is the crocodile suddenly talking so formally? How did he say threatened like that? The crocodile monster seemed to have passed its limit. It roared wildly. I'm really pissed off now. It opened its long snout wide. A ball of fire slowly formed in its mouth. Seeing this, Kim Den thought in panic, uh-oh. Isn't that its ultimate skill? Before he could finish his thought, a huge flame erupted from the crocodile's mouth, incinerating almost everything in front of it. Crococilium, ultimate skill, extreme flame breath. Luckily, Kim Den quickly teleported, avoiding the fatal blow. He appeared behind the crocodile monster, looking at the horrifying scene. He said in terror, "One hit from that and you're toast." The crocodile monster turned its head to look at Kim Den. It said in a sharp voice, "Surprise ego stick." Without hesitation, Kim Den whipped out a black scarf. Instantly, countless guns appeared from the scarf, launching towards the crocodile monster. Kim Den looked at it coldly, clenched his fist, and said, "See you in hell, you bastard!" All the guns fired at once. After a series of explosions, everything was shrouded in smoke. Kim Den flew up, looking at the smoke and wondering, "Did I get him?" Comment appears, "Whoa. No way." After taking all those bullets, the crocodile monster is still alive. It burst out of the smoke cloud and roared, "You think a few bullets can hurt my body?" Suddenly, Kim Den's mask fell in front of the live stream camera. He quickly teleported away from the camera, grabbing a gas mask. He stood high above, looking down at the crocodile monster. He said, "I did that to make you let your guard down." Kim Den threw a strange object towards the crocodile monster. The crocodile monster contemptuously opened its maw and swallowed the object. It shouted, "You pathetic little rat!" Suddenly, a powerful light erupted from the crocodile monster's mouth. It convulsed in pain as if electrocuted. Its body was enveloped in a yellow light. Kim Den thought, "Hey, you jerk." In the original story, Stardust had a hard time because of your thick hide. You think I wouldn't know that? You think I didn't come prepared? After the attack, the crocodile monster was bloody and stunned. Then it collapsed unconscious. Comments continuously appeared, "Mango Stick. Mango Stick. The association needs to officially designate Mango Stick as a hero right now, and he calls himself a villain." The guns, losing their power, fell freely to the ground. Kim Den landed on the rooftop with them. Guns were everywhere. He trembled with exhaustion, gathering the guns and looking up at the sky. He groaned, "Damn it, I used up too much energy. I wanted to make this scene look cool with telekinesis, but my power is depleted. Even holding this phone is a struggle." Kim Den remembered the phone that was live streaming. He read the comments. "So you came here to take care of the villain." He frantically tried to explain. "There's an opening. That's right, no. Everyone, I came here because I just hate that crocodile guy. Don't think I acted because of Stardust or for the public good, okay? Comment appears, whatever you say, bro." Suddenly, a golden streak of light flew in, landing on the rooftop where Kim Den stood. It was Shin Haju. She slowly stood up after an impressive landing. Shin Haju approached and questioned, "Did you take that thing down?" Kim Den calmly replied, "Yeah. It was in my way, so I took care of it." Shin Haju looked at him suspiciously and asked coldly, "But why?" Kim Den shrugged nonchalantly and replied, "Why what? Because it kept screaming that me and you, Stardust, had some shady hanky-panky going on and it pissed me off." Shin Haju was startled. "What?" Kim Den put on an earpiece and said, "Ms. Stardust." He looked at Shin Haju and smiled. "Next time something like today happens, don't just think forget it. Just reveal your face and show off, okay? Once you reveal your face, your life will be very hard." Shin Haju was surprised, looking at Kim Den blankly. He turned and picked up his phone. He said, "All right, that's all for today's broadcast." This was too unexpected. "I'm dead tired. There's a big event in a few months, so please look forward to it." Comment appears, "What did you two talk about with the mic off?" Kim Den disappeared in a flash of light. "Well then, goodbye." Shin Haju reached out her hand. "Wait." Her face showed a hint of sadness. Kim Den had teleported home. Blood trickled from his mouth, his face expressionless. He looked like a lifeless doll. Seo Yul and Subin ran to him in a panic, worried. "Den, Mr. Den." Kim Den collapsed to the ground. On the rooftop, Shin Haju found Kim Den's mask and picked it up. She looked at it deep in thought. How did he know what I was thinking? "Why, who are you really?" "Ego stick." Haju was sitting in front of her computer screen reading the news. Two hot news stories from KBS News were on the screen. Exclusive chaos at the ice cream festival. A rank villain, Crococilium, has been captured. He was subdued by Agostic. and transferred to the Eastern Hero Detention Center. Building destroyed by crocodile 4 hours ago. Close-up ego stick faster than any A-rank villain. Ego stick, is he a villain or something else? Search results for ego stick. About 2 new 30 results. 0.45 seconds. Official fan club. Ego stick Manga Sticker Society. Mango Portal. Hero Portal. The true hero of our time. For Mango by Mango. A fan club established to honor Mango Sticker. Comment, a person named Mango. Is he a god? Today the Mango Sticker G-card suddenly... Miyago joined the Mango fan club. Ego sticker, ego sticker. Someone else named Mango saw it. I've been saying lately that Manga Sticker is cooler than all those other heroes. You admire Manga Sticker, that's weird. Just before praising, Manga Sticker got you a 1-month ban for supporting a villain. Now why aren't people doing it anymore? Haju held her head in frustration. Then she suddenly saw a comment from today. What are heroes doing? These days, Manga Sticker is walking the streets while his fandom blindly cheers him on. If Korea keeps this up, under the article, there was a humorous meme icon of Den. Pretty cool, right? Haju exclaimed. Damn it. She lay down on her bed. She closed her eyes and thought, am I the only one who doesn't like him? She remembered the ice cream vendor showing off his Mango Society shirt, full of excitement. I made it myself. Jae-hyun beside her also praised it. Oh, that's so cute. Then she remembered him, reminding her, Ms. Stardust. Next time something like this happens, don't just think forget it. Just reveal your face and show off, okay? Haju had a headache. The answer, could everyone else be right? And I'm the only one who's wrong. Meanwhile, Subin and Seo Yul were standing in front of a glass chamber. Den was lying inside. The little girl, Seo Yul, was seething with anger. It's all because of that Stardust girl. Suddenly a sound made her freeze. Den opened his eyes, looked at them, and tapped on the glass, asking, why are you guys crying? The two of them couldn't help but look at him with worry. Immediately, Seo Yul rushed in and hugged him, crying loudly. Seeing this, Den comforted her. It's okay, it's okay. Finally, he recovered and had dinner with everyone. He couldn't believe it. I didn't even know I was out for 3 whole days. Looking back, maybe. It was because I teleported so much. And I even lifted my body with telekinesis. That was really tiring. Seo Yul's voice cut in. From now on, you have to take proper care of your body, okay? Den quickly promised, all right, I will. He looked at the little girl happily and thought, anyway, this kid even shed tears for me. Taking action with her seems to be effective. On the other side, Subin said worriedly, then why did you rush off like that? People are going to mistake you for a hero. Seo Yul also agreed and questioned. That's right, I don't get it at all. You're always going on about being a villain this, a villain that. Den calmly replied. If I hadn't stepped in, Stardust would have anyway. But the little girl still didn't understand. So what? Suddenly his reply made Seo Yul freeze. It's dangerous. Den explained, if that situation had happened, when a hero reveals their face, their personal information gets completely exposed. And what happens next? Villains holding grudges. Or other bad guys will come find and eliminate the hero. Seo Yul still didn't see why it was a big deal. What does that have to do with us? Den patiently explained, Seo Yul, the world we live in is a skewed system. A skew between good and evil. Most heroes don't walk the path of a hero. They choose the path of a villain. The rewards for their efforts are too small, and they're constantly harassed. So instead of struggling as a hero, many people choose to become villains to live easier. But according to him, this is only in Korea. There are only A-rank heroes like Stardust, Icicle and Shadow Walker, a total of 3. But A-rank villains are everywhere, right? After hearing this, Seo Yul could only sigh. So that's why you plan to go eliminate villains in their place. What a dark hero. But what does that have to do with us? Den scratched his head stubbornly. It's not to that extent. I'm just a little concerned about the fate of Korea. Seo Yul's face darkened as she asked, you and that Stardust girl, do you like her? Instantly, Den became serious. Whoa! Hey, don't call people that. Seo Yul, speak respectfully. The atmosphere between the two became tense. Subin could only try to mediate. Seo Yul, she changed the subject. Why don't you talk about what we discussed earlier? Let Den hear it. Instantly, Seo Yul's attitude changed and she exclaimed, that's right. The girl turned to look at Den and said, hey. He replied with a confused, Seo Yul pleaded, summer's coming soon, let's go on a trip. Let's go to the beach, Den replied. A trip sounds nice. Hearing this, the little girl cheered happily. But Den had another idea. But let's do one more big terrorist act and then go. Seo Yul was confused. Another terrorist act. I want to do it to lower my popularity a bit. Actually, Den had another purpose, and to make Stardust stronger. I'm not sure if guys like that crocodile won't crawl out again. If Stardust had to face him, it would have been difficult. Seo Yul was a little sulky. Are we really going on a trip? To appease her, Den held out his pinky. Pinky promise. The little girl also cheered happily. You promised? Then Seo Yul happily shouted and ran off. Yes, let's go pack. The girl worked at full capacity, saying, Actually, I've already thought of 10 options, Seo Yul said excitedly. Among them, if I had to suggest one, Den and Subin. Seeing this thought, she's so proactive. The girl laid out her plan. The previous terrorist acts were at an observatory or on a train. Terrorism. On the ground. They were both land-based terrorism. Right. The girl came up with a new idea. This time, let's do it underwater or in the sky. Immediately, Den chanted a spell underwater and in the sky. Come to me, god of terrorism, grant me an idea. Instantly, a jolt of electricity seemed to shoot through him, making him shout, I've got it. Subin clenched her fist nervously and asked, What is it, Den? He replied, Let's try this. He thought of an idea. A plane crashing into the sea. The idea flashed, making Den and Seo Yul grin mischievously. Subin, however, was a little scared of these two villains. A plane was flying in the sky. Everyone on the flight was relaxed, unaware of what was about to happen to them. Suddenly, the plane lost power. People were still optimistic. Look, with the lights off, we can see the sky better. This really feels like a vacation. The screens on the plane suddenly lit up. It displayed the words, the egoistic. A voice echoed through the cabin. It's a pleasure to meet you all again. The biggest quiz in the sky at an altitude of 25,000 feet. And no, it should be called the biggest quiz show in the air. Welcome to the Ego Show Live. A passenger angrily yelled, Flight attendant. What's going on? Den continued his announcement. Oh, right. And of course, the plane you're on also has a bomb attached. You know? A bomb was attached to the fuselage. Only then did the pilot realize, wondering, when did he attach that? Hearing this, everyone immediately panicked and screamed. Meanwhile, Den smirked mischievously. Now let the game begin. Cut to the hero headquarters. Haju burst into the room and asked, How long has it been since the incident started? Sitting in the room, President Junho spoke up. Even if you go, you might not be able to do anything in time. This remark immediately angered her. She slammed her fist on the table and yelled, Is that something the association president should say? I have to go immediately. He turned around and said, Did I say not to go? It's very difficult during the day. Suddenly, someone entered. Upon seeing that person, Haju smiled brightly and exclaimed, Kim Jae-hyun! The person who had just entered was Kim Jae-hyun, A-rank hero Shadow Walker, the king of the night. He turned to look at President Junho and said, Let's just get to Jeju Airport and then go to sleep. Fighting is too much for me. He advised, Don't overdo it. We can't save everyone. Shadow Walker unleashes his power, and Haru replies, I'll keep that in mind. As she steps closer to Shadow Walker, the two are enveloped by a stream of dark power. Instantly, they are transported to the scene. Haru quickly dashes off, not forgetting to thank him. You worked hard. No biggie, no biggie. Walker on the other side clutches his mouth and collapses on the stairs, about to puke. Haru rushes outside. Looking up at the sky, she can't help but be horrified. Her running feet suddenly halt. Her face reveals a look of despair. How can I stop this? Before her is an airplane, burning in mid-air. Flashback to 1 year ago in a building. The villains are gathered. All eyes are on the one sitting up high, listening to his declaration. The day I bring all of Seoul, all of the Republic of Korea to its knees is not far off. He laughs maniacally. That's Needle 1000, an S-class villain. Suddenly a voice rings out. But I have a different idea. They look around warily. Who's there? Shadow Walker appears in the corner of the room. A hero, he replies. The A-class rookie hero Shadow Walker. The king of the night crosses his arms stylishly. You call us villains. Needle 1000 steps forward imposingly. Hey, kid. Do you know whose territory this is? One of the henchmen wonders. How did he get in here? Suddenly, Shadow Walker stands still, his eyes blank white. Needle 1000 charges forward, throwing a punch. This is my territory. Needle 1000's. He unleashes a powerful punch. The force rushes towards Shadow Walker, but he remains completely still. The punch stops the moment it touches Shadow Walker. This leaves Needle 1000 stunned. He and his henchmen look around in confusion. Where'd he go? Suddenly, from within a villain's shadow, something strange happens. He is swallowed into the shadow. The remaining henchmen quickly meet the same fate. Needle, 1000 immediately envelops his body in power, thinking can't be careless. He's no pushover. Shadow Walker's power of darkness creeps up to his shoulder. He appears from behind. He lunges, but Needle 1000 is also skilled, shooting power like porcupine quills from his back at Shadow. "Walker, you're too cocky," he says smugly, turning his head. "This brat dares to challenge me?" But when he turns back, Shadow Walker is lying on the ground, covered by the power of darkness. He suddenly vanishes, startling the villain. Shadow Walker, with glowing red eyes, appears behind him. "Hey, you porcupine," he asks. "Didn't you say this was your territory?" He raises his hand and gray power swirls. "Sorry, but this place is my territory now." A dark hand emerges and swallows the villain into another dimension. Remembering that scene, Shadow Walker lies on the stairs, panting to himself. "I think I'm gonna die." Meanwhile, Dain Kim has been observing the entire scene with Haru and the King of the Night. He thinks, okay, the main character has entered the stage. He smiles sinisterly and speaks into the microphone. "Now, let's get to the final dramatic quiz. Shall we begin?" Everyone holds their phones, praying desperately. A man says fearfully, sweating profusely. Flashback to 30 minutes ago. While everyone was still panicking, a piercing sound rang out along with an image of Dain Kim. Everyone fell silent, too scared to make a sound. He speaks now. "Before we start the game, I'll announce the rules. Everyone take out your phones and turn off airplane mode." See the message that just arrived? Everyone looks at their phones with a sense of dread. The message reads, "The agnostic pointless quiz." There are 10 questions in total. If just one person answers all questions correctly, the bomb will be disarmed. But if no one gets a single question right, everyone will be eliminated. Send your answers to this number. Ready? From now on, everyone be silent. Cheating and discussing are not allowed. Understood? Make a sound and you're immediately disqualified. Now then, question number 1 begins. The phone displays. How many people could the Titanic's lifeboats carry? A 59-second countdown begins for this question. A woman tries to peek at the person next to her. An announcement is made immediately. "The girl who just cheated is disqualified." She exclaims in panic. He announces again, "You just made a sound, didn't you? You're disqualified." "Well then, the guy next to her can be disqualified in her place, okay?" Online comments are buzzing. This is a true quiz game hell. Just watching is stressful. Someone wonders how cruel. "Who said Agostic is a hero? He's terrifying." When the time runs out, he announces, "Well, that was too easy, wasn't it? The answer to question 1 is 9 people. But why?" He slaps his thigh and laughs heartily. "Because it's a pun?" The room falls silent. Am I having too much fun? A large screen shows the seating chart. He reports more than half of you are already eliminated. Getting flustered. Already, you all should be a little more tense. Now keep it up. Next question. Time passes and the number of eliminated people increases. Some sigh in relief after passing a question. Others clasp their hands in prayer. Down to the last question. Only one person remains. So are you feeling the pressure now? He looks at the screen, sees Haru approaching and thinks, good. Then he stalls for time. Since it's the final round, let's do a little interview, shall we? Let's see. Everyone's life is hanging on your words. Mr. Kim Dokbae from Bangbae-dong. You've become the last one standing. How do you feel? The panicked man stammers, that's truly a heavy responsibility. He teases, why do you say that? I already told you. What happens if you make a sound? Everyone panics. But he sighs in relief as he says, oh well, since it's the last question anyway, we can forgive a small mistake like this, right? Right, everyone? But I don't feel like it. Gasp! The man is eliminated. The plane shakes violently and screams erupt. The burning plane free falls towards the sea. He laughs triumphantly. Now, this performance is also ready. It's time for the hero to appear, Stardust. But Haru, witnessing this scene, looks up, her face a mask of utter despair, unsure how to save everyone. Shinharu. She looks up at the object exploding in the sky. Then she quietly asks, what do I do now? The association president on the other end of the line answers indifferently. What can you do? Just give up. I'm busy drafting a statement to deal with the criticism. Damn it, now the president is calling. I have to go. Shinharu's hand clenches in frustration. Then she collapses helplessly. I thought I had stopped that speeding train, going 100 km. In the end, is my current strength still not enough? Damn it, what am I supposed to do? Suddenly, Shinharu recalls an old memory. In the past, in a similar desperate situation, a helpless girl, crying her eyes out over the loss of a loved one. Mom, Dad, I'll kill him no matter what it takes. A truly tragic scene. A girl clutching the body of her most loved one in a dark alley. Recalling that painful memory, Shinharu punches the ground, creating cracks. She grinds her teeth in resentment. It was the same back then, and it's the same now. I can't save anyone. Suddenly, her communication earpiece connects. Startling her, a voice comes from the other side. Hello, Ms. Stardust, this is Agostic. Elsewhere, Dane Kim stretches and yawns. This time we're using remote control for the terror attack, so it seems easier to handle. Hyul, typing at a keyboard, suddenly calls out tensely, Hey, boss. He looks over, curious. Hyul turns, points at the screen, and says with a grin, That Ms. Stardust, no. That Stardust Unny is frozen stiff down there. Dane Kim's eyes go wide with surprise. Then he suddenly jumps up excitedly, shouting, startling Hyul. What is it? Stardust. The image on the screen shows Shinharu listening intently to her earpiece. Dane Kim seems to realize something. He quickly turns to the girl. Hyul, can you connect to the in-ear monitor that Stardust is wearing? Hyul quickly types on her keyboard. While asking, I can't connect, but why? He urges. There's no time. Hurry up, back to Shinharu. She's stunned as a voice comes through her earpiece. Hello, Ms. Stardust, it's me. She immediately gets agitated, yelling, You filthy piece of trash! Dane Kim on the other end continues. You're making me curious. Why aren't you saving people? What are you just standing there for? It's about to crash. The plane is falling. Shinharu is furious. She looks at the burning plane plummeting down. This is your doing, and now you're telling me to stop it. Dane Kim asks back. If you don't, who will? Shinharu is so frustrated that tears well up. If I even touch that hunk of metal falling at 1,000 km an hour, my body will be torn to shreds. This is your plan, isn't it? You're trying to send me to my death, aren't you? On his end, Dane Kim gives a dangerous smile. You can do it. Shinharu, what? He continues. Take action. Clench your fists. Fly up there and save everyone. You can do it. Because it's you can do it. Shinharu is even more confused. Damn it. What is this lunatic talking about? In a white, empty space, Dane Kim walks towards her, asking, So why would I want to kill you without you? Stardust, I'm just another mediocre villain. It is you who helps me complete myself. Stardust Shinharu is momentarily stunned by his words. Then she quickly gets to her feet. Even if this is a plot to eliminate me, I'll give it a shot. As she speaks, she removes her earpiece. On the other end, Dane Kim is shocked. What? And Shinharu clenches her fist, crushing the earpiece. She puts her hands on the ground, and with a surge of power, the space around her shatters into pieces. She puts all her strength into it, and launches into the air like a rocket. Her target, the nose of the falling plane. Shinharu bites her lip, thinking to herself, That's right. If I just stand by and watch these people die, I'll live with the weight of guilt for the rest of my life. An image of Dane Kim appears confidently saying, You can do it, because it's you can do it. Shinharu's face is filled with determination. I'd rather sacrifice myself to protect them than live forever with regret. And so the two forces collide, creating a massive shockwave in the sky. I failed them. If only I had focused a little more at that moment. An image of a happy family flashes by. Honey. Kids, mom, dad. A man cries. Looking down at the scene below, then shuts his eyes tightly as if giving up. Inside the plane, a little girl covers her ears, gritting her teeth, trying to stay conscious as she looks outside. Suddenly, the girl stares in amazement out the window. Tears stream down her face as she thinks. Is the speed decreasing? The people outside tense about the situation, watch with wide eyes. An employee reports over the radio, his voice trembling. It's unclear what happened. But right now, the plane is being supported from the outside and is gradually descending. A muffled announcement is heard inside the cabin. Dear passengers, please keep your seatbelts fastened and wait for instructions. In the sky, Shinharu is using all her strength to support the weight of the plane, which is falling at a terrifying speed. She grinds her teeth, veins popping on her face. Just a little more. Cut to another scene. A blurry view slowly comes into focus. A flight attendant panics, seeing someone waking up. Mr. Kim Dok-bae, are you okay? The man named Kim Dok-bae wakes up holding his head wearily. He looks around in confusion. Where? Then they both get off the plane. The flight attendant supports the victim. Kim Dok-bae looks around, bewildered. He stammers with a look of confusion. What happened? In front of them, Shin Haru is kneeling on the ground, surrounded by curious onlookers. Kim Dok-bae exclaims, "Is that a flight attendant?" She looks at him confused. Kim Dok-bae's eyes fill with tears of joy. No, it's her. She's the one who protected us. A hero, from Shin Haru's side. She looks up at the sky, panting from exhaustion. Tears stream down her face as she whispers, "Egostic." The story quickly makes headlines. Images of Shin Haru are plastered across every newspaper. America is in shock. Japan is stunned. China praises her effusively, and France is also in awe of this hero. Who is Stardust? China is forced to admit that in terms of heroes, they are completely inferior to South Korea. Even 10 Japanese heroes combined wouldn't be a match. Japan's Minister of Internal Affairs reveals shocking information. The news quickly catches on, reporting extensively. Good morning, viewers. This is Morning 900 starting your day. Yesterday morning, the A-class villain Egostic remotely hijacked an airplane, causing it to freefall. Fortunately, all passengers were miraculously saved. The one who held up the plane was none other than Stardust, our proud hero. Many experts had predicted that. With her previously known abilities, she would be unable to stop this incident. But in the end, the plane slowed down. Shin Haru returns home. Hearing the news about herself, she quickly turns off the TV and takes a sip of water. Fresh from a shower, she looks relaxed and cute. Suddenly, her phone rings. She quickly answers, "Hello." Listening to the other end, she asks, "Really?" The caller is a girl with blue hair. She confirms, "Yeah. I asked the association president to give Shin Haru a little break. Let's go to the beach and enjoy the view. Just take a day to relax. It's been a while since we've all gone out together." Shin Haru cheers. "Okay, I'll leave tomorrow." The blue-haired girl says, "Oh, and let's call Kim Chae-hyun, too." Later, Shin Haru steps out onto the balcony for some fresh air. She looks serious, as if deep in thought. Then someone's words echo in her memory. "You can do it, because it's you can do it." Shin Haru smiles faintly, thinking, has anyone ever believed in me like that? He's just a mediocre villain. Suddenly, she's startled by a realization. Wait a minute, but why did he tell me to save the plane? If he was so sure I could stop it and save everyone, then why did he make it crash in the first place? Dane Kim's words echo again. I'm just another mediocre villain. It is you who helps me complete myself. This gives Shin Haru a headache, the mysterious Egostic. But she feels like he orchestrated everything, for a specific purpose. I need to investigate his movements thoroughly. Her eyes flash with determination. Suddenly, her phone displays, "Call from the Hero Association." The person on the other end speaks for a moment, making Shin Haru exclaim in surprise, "What?" Remeasure my power stats. The next morning, a rooster crows. Ha-yul, wearing a yellow floaty around her waist, is excited. "We're finally here." Dine Kim comes out and reminds her, "Ha-yul, we're just getting ready to go, so deflate the floaty a bit and put it in the trunk." The girl replies excitedly, "Okay, Dine Oppa." Dine Kim sighs. "Oppa, huh?" He strokes his chin thoughtfully. "Now that I think about it, this is my first vacation since I came to this world. Should I enjoy it?" He smiles with anticipation, but not for long. Looking at the traffic jam ahead, he groans, "What is this?" Inside the car, the three are flushed from the heat, sweating profusely. Diane Kim in the driver's seat complains, Why did the AC have to break today of all days?" Ha-yul, looking exhausted, suggests, "Boss, can't you just teleport the whole car?" He panics, "I'd die on the spot." "Let's stop at a rest stop and deal with this first. Ms. Ha-yul, with your super genius intellect, if you're too hot, just take off your boots." Ha-yul yells while taking off her jacket. "I knew we should have taken the train. Why did we have to be so extra?" Dane Kim retorts, "We had too much stuff, it wouldn't have worked." The girl curiously opens a gray case next to her. "What's this? Isn't this for the vacation?" It turns out to be a gun case. Dine Kim gives a smug thumbs up. "You never know what might happen." Ha-yul, fuming with anger, yells, "What kind of vacation is this?" Dane Kim panics and tries to calm her down. "Sorry, Ha-yul. Put the gun down and let's talk." After a series of problems on the road, the group finally arrives. Ha-yul, in a cute swimsuit, runs to the sea with her yellow floaty cheering, "The ocean." Dane Kim sits on the shore, laughing. She really is just a kid. Lee Subin pops open a can of soda and offers it to Dane Kim. "I just bought some drinks. You have one too." She's wearing a beautiful bikini. He takes the can. "Thanks, Ms. Subin." Suddenly, Lee Subin stares intently at Dain Kim, making him look back confused. I'm always grateful to you, Dain. He's puzzled, grateful for what? Subin says, just for everything. Thank you for saving me back then. Thank you for treating me so well. Faced with her captivating beauty, Dain Kim is like a log, smiling with his eyes closed and giving a thumbs up. What are you talking about? I'm the one who should be thankful. You do all the housework for us. And you're a great cook, too. Lee Subin shyly tucks a strand of hair. That means a lot to me. Dain Kim gulps, his expression doubtful as he thinks to himself, is this a death flag like in the comics? Or a betrayal flag? He looks at the can in his hand in horror. Am I being poisoned? His distorted expression confuses Lee Subin. Cut to a large building in the city. Shin Haru appears as the staff members chat. We didn't measure it wrong. The data clearly shows she couldn't have stopped that plane. Another staff member adds, maybe there was a mistake somewhere. Maybe we just don't grasp her true power yet. What if... Shin Haru stands before the power testing board thinking, no, the power test wasn't wrong. When I stopped that seemingly impossible disaster, I clearly had a burst of power. She prepares to test again. The impact stuns the nearby staff. Shin Haru screams, swinging a powerful fist at the test board. The punch cracks the board, sending screws flying. The shockwave of power spreads through the surrounding space. The staff stares in terror at the scene. Shin Haru stands before her fist and whispers, I've gotten stronger. Back with Dain Kim Lee. Subin sits next to him shyly, tucking her hair and saying, that means a lot to me. Seeing her expression, Dain Kim purses his lips, worrying to himself. Is this a death flag like in the comics? Or a betrayal flag? His face turns pale, as if he's just realized something terrible. The sun still shines brightly down below. Ha-Yul is splashing around with her floaty in the sea. She notices the scene on the shore. Dain Kim nervously replies to Lee Subin. Ha ha! I look forward to your continued help in the future, Ms. Subin. Ha-Yul quickly runs ashore. She points at the two of them accusingly. Hey, you two? Are you going to flirt and leave me all alone? Lee Subin panics, blushing as she retorts. Flirting? What are you talking about? Huh. Dain Kim calmly feigns ignorance. The little girl is fuming. If we're on a family trip, we should all play together. He gives a mischievous smile. Oh, is that so? Ha-Yul frowns, confused by his expression. A second later, Dain Kim turns into a scary uncle. Scooping up both Ha-Yul and her floaty, she panics. Hey, what are you doing? Wait. Dain Kim playfully throws her into the sea, laughing sinisterly. What am I doing? Just playing together. Ha-Yul sputters as she surfaces. A moment later, she throws a clump of seaweed at Dain Kim's face, yelling, I got water up my nose. You're so annoying, seriously. Dain Kim forces a smile, picking the seaweed off his face and thinking, anyway, it's been a long time since I've had this kind of peace. It feels nice. Then, he grins like a demon king and dives in to splash water at Ha-Yul. Lee Subin sits on the shore, watching them with a radiant smile. Time flies and evening falls. On the road, strange cars speed by. A voice is heard. So where's our team hitting tonight? The Busan Hotel. Marriott, Jojo Hyperion, Grand Ambassador 2. All of them. A bald man in a dark space exclaimed, let's make a huge splash. Cut to the Marriott, Jojo Hyperion. Grand Ambassador Hotel. Dain Kim's group after a fun day at the beach. Upon returning to the hotel to rest, the receptionist asked, hello, what is the name on the reservation? Kim Den replied, it's probably under Han Sho-Yul. The receptionist smiled brightly and handed over the room key card. Yes, I've confirmed it. Here is the key to room 2708. Kim Den, bewildered, asked back, there's only one room. Han Seo-Yul stepped up beside him. Whistling nonchalantly, she sheepishly explained, well, it's good to save a little money, right? With that, they moved on. The three of them walked to the elevator to go up to the room. Suddenly, Han Seo-Yul exclaimed, oh, that's right. The bed is super huge, so let's all sleep together. Kim Den's eyes widened as he exclaimed, there's even only one bed. Lee Subin, though very happy and excited, pretended to be calm. It's been a while. Sleeping with three people could be fun. Whatever. Kim Den broke out in a sweat looking at them. Well, it's not like we've ever slept together before. But inside he was silently praying. Nothing will probably happen, right? And really nothing happened at all. What were you expecting? The three of them really slept together on the bed. Han Seo-Yul lay in the middle, fast asleep and snoring loudly. Kim Den was resting with his eyes closed, when suddenly a whisper was heard from outside the door. Wait, I want to get into this room. Then came the sound of a countdown. 1, 2. Two robbers dressed from head to toe, holding guns, kicked the door in and shouted, "Freeze, hands up!" Kim Den flicked a finger upwards. Immediately, the two guys were hit on the chin and fell backwards. A moment later, Kim Den sat up, rubbing his eyes and yawning as he said, "Where the hell did these guys come from?" The two were unconscious on the floor. Kim Den carefully peeked outside. He saw guests from other rooms, still in their pajamas, being dragged away by the goons. "Hurry up, you lot," he remarked, "terrorists for real." Then he gritted his teeth and crushed the edge of the door. "Damn it. I've only gone on vacation twice, and I run into crap like this every time. What the hell?" On his phone screen, Kim Den was looking up some information. "Wait a minute, Shadow Walker is still here. So how dare they cause trouble at night?" The screen showed a news report. Breaking news. A-class hero Shadow Walker. Found collapsed in West Incheon. Oh my God. At that moment, Han Shoyul woke up, yawned, and asked, "What's going on? Are there terrorists?" Kim Den said, "Yeah," while rolling his eyes and thinking to himself, "I'm not even surprised anymore." He vanished from his spot. While giving a warning, "Hold on. I'm going to check the parking lot. Wake Subin up and wait in the room, okay?" Han Seoyul, still groggy, rubbed her eyes. "We run into terrorists even on vacation." All right, I'll do as you say." Kim Den appeared in his car. He looked outside and saw the terrorists snooping around the cars. "I can't just leave quietly without dealing with this." After thinking, Kim Den searched in the car and pulled out a grotesque mask. A wicked smile spreads across his face. "I can't believe it. The spare mask I brought along is coming in handy right away. Serves you right, you bastards, for ruining our vacation. Now show me your faces." After grabbing his things, Kim Den teleported back to the hotel room. The two girls were awake, waiting seriously. Kim Den threw some gear towards them and announced, "Get your orders through the in-ear. Let's go, everyone." His expression was full of excitement. Han Seoyul sighed, exasperated. "You look really excited at times like these." Out in the hotel lobby, the terrorists had piled up chairs into a small mountain. A bald man was sitting on top of it. Below him, his subordinates held guns pointed in every direction. Just then, the bald man, Monkey Spinner, an A-class villain, stroked his beard and spoke. "Are the preparations complete?" Two men below nodded in response. He praised them good. Then he shouted, pointing down, "Announce to the Hero Association and the government that we are currently holding hundreds of hostages here. If the money isn't transferred to the account immediately, all of them will be eliminated." Below, the bound hostages were kneeling on the floor. Monkey Spinner was still yelling, "The account number is 12." Suddenly, a sound echoed, making both hostages and terrorists turn in one direction. Monkey Spinner cautiously fell silent, listening to the noise. Kim Den, wearing an orange mask, stepped out, clapping and smiling brightly. "That's enough. This ridiculous excuse for terrorism ends here." He stretched out his hand, creating a wave of energy. Instantly, a gun was pulled from a terrorist's hand. Then countless guns were controlled by that power, their muzzles pointed at the foreheads of the terrorists themselves. Kim Den swung his fist. A wave of power exploded through the large hotel lobby. The hostages inside screamed in terror. Kim Den's pupils turned purple as he grew a little anxious, thinking, "Just this, and I've already used up my whole stock of psychokinesis that I've saved up for months." He leaped forward and attacked Spinner with one blow. Kim Den kicked him to the floor and sat in his place. Looking down, he gave a demonic smile. "How ridiculous. Weaklings like you dare to commit terrorism." Suddenly, Monkey Spinner's eyes flashed red. He pulled out a gun and aimed it straight at Kim Den. A shot rang out and the bullet lodged in his abdomen, making him look down at the wound, stunned. Unexpectedly, a crazed laugh erupted. "Ha ha ha, is that just one bullet?" Kim Den's expression left Monkey Spinner dumbfounded. Kim Den sat above, the bullet still stuck in his stomach, but he still calmly smiled and asked, "Is that all you've got?" Monkey Spinner was now like a giant, confidently controlling everything in the palm of his hand. Above, Kim Den was secretly breaking out in a cold sweat. Behind the mask, his face was contorted in pain. "Damn it! This situation is critical. If I move, I'll die from blood loss." Down below, Monkey Spinner started to walk. His intuition told him to leave immediately. He thought, "That bastard. I was planning to take advantage of Shadow Walker's absence. To make a quick move. That guy must be Icicle. Could it be that on his list of targets to eliminate, I was included, which is why he ambushed me here?" Up high, Kim Den forced back the pain and laughed loudly. "You seem pretty tense. I'll give you a chance to run away right now. If you can, that is." Monkey Spinner gritted his teeth, shook his fist, and demanded, "What are you plotting?" Kim Den, still sitting there, continued, "Plotting my ass. The thing you're racking your brain over, that's the plot. Now because of you, my vacation is ruined. Stop bothering me and retreat while you still can." But inside he was anxiously urging his opponent on. "Please don't overthink it. Just go. Just keeping my eyes open is making me dizzy." Monkey Spinner continued to ponder. "This is an opportunity, that's right. I just need to enhance my abilities, and I can bounce back at any time." To the horror of the hostages, he turned into a flash and dashed straight for the hotel exit, thinking to himself, Monkey Spinner. One day you will become the king of South Korea. I can't die in a place like this. But from the doorway, a fist accompanied by sharp glass shards flew towards him. A punch sent Monkey Spinner flying backwards. As powerful as a redirected rocket, Shin Ha-ju appeared just in time, shouting a warning to the terrorists. "You're surrounded. Drop your weapons and surrender. Monkey Gang." But looking down at the floor, she saw the terrorists had already been taken down long ago. A pair of straight legs stepped in. Shin Ha-ju was bewildered by the scene. Then an A-class hero with a cold expression exclaimed, "Huh, they're all down." It was Shadow Walker. The A-class hero next to him said with boredom, "So boring. So boring. They're all down already. We put out a little fake news and they pull a terrorist attack right away." Shadow Walker noticed Kim Den on the high pile of chairs. "But who is that guy?" Kim Den was dazed, pink bubbles floating in his head. He thought to himself, "Why is she here?" Shin Ha-ju frowned and asked, "Who are you? Did you take down these terrorists?" Kim Den pressed down hard on his wound. He thought, "If I don't focus, I'm going to die right here." Luckily, they didn't seem to know he was a Gnostic, so he tried to stall for time. "I just need to recover enough to teleport twice." On the other side, Han Seo-yul and Subin were listening tensely through their earpieces. Kim Den kept up his dangerous act. He calmly replied, "Who am I? I am an S-class hero, operating secretly in South Korea." These words made the three below look up stunned. Shin Ha-ju pointed a finger, exposing him. "At the association, there are no records of any S-class hero. What nonsense are you talking about? Who are you really?" He calmly replied, "A-class hero Stardust." "Don't you know what secret operations means? A-class hero Icicle, A-class hero Shadow Walker. I am a hero who has been active since the generation before you." Han Seo-yul wondered, "Den, what the hell are you doing?" Subin frowned with worry. "Den," Kim Den remained arrogant. "When you meet a senior, you should greet them first." "These kids are so clueless." Shin Ha-ju looked up, both annoyed and suspicious. He shook his head, feigning disappointment. Looking at your faces, I can tell you don't understand a thing. In that case, I'll introduce myself. Listen closely. I am the hero." His eyes glanced at a boy wearing a t-shirt with the word apple on it. "Mango." An image of delicious fruit appeared. Kim Den hurriedly blurted out, "Apple Mango, the freed hostages." Heard this name with bewildered expressions. "This is Icicle," he said, getting info through his earpiece. Yes, he says he's Apple Mango." "There's no one by that name." Icicle coldly beckoned and exposed him. "Hey, you over there. They said there's no hero with a nickname like that." "Who are you really?" Kim Den angrily shouted. "You insolent brat!" "I even know the association president's real name is Park Man-jun. It's Park Jun-ho now, right? He changed it because his old name was too rustic. Hurry up and check." These words stunned all three of them. Inside, he was tense. "I can't believe this information from the original novel is so useful," Icicle replied. "Anyway, the president said he doesn't know you." A guest spoke up, his voice filled with discontent. "Hey, heroes. I've been watching and getting so mad I had to say something. That guy in the mask took down these bad guys and helped us. So who cares who he is?" Icicle, flustered, broke out in a sweat. "About that, I mean, everyone, please calm down." Kim Den screamed internally, "Oh my God. You're so right, mister. I just need a little more time to recover, and I can escape." The man continued, "And I saw him make the guns float in the air and shoot all over the place." "What was it again?" He's like that guy who's always on TV." Shin Ha-ju caught the main point. Kim Den froze awkwardly. Mister, the man gave him a thumbs up. "But so what if he is?" Thinking back on it, it was pretty damn cool. He screamed internally, "Stop, please stop!" Icicle gave a faint smile. So it seems quite suspicious, doesn't it?" Kim Den grew tense. Sweat poured down his face. "Just a little more." The three below began to unleash their power. "First, we should probably restrain him and then unmask his identity, huh?" Icicle stretched out his hand, releasing his power. A pillar of ice shot into the floor. Kim Den gritted his teeth and thought, "Shoot!" Shadow Walker silently closed in from behind. Kim Den clutched his wound. He screamed in his mind, "Please, please, move!" Shin Haju's sharp eyes stared at her opponent. She launched forward like a rocket. Kim Den winced, worried about the situation. But luckily, at the most critical moment, Kim Den used his power to teleport downwards, avoiding their capture. Han Seo-yul and Subin appeared just in time to catch him. Then the two of them quickly vanished, taking the injured Kim Den away from that place. A moment later, their car shook. The group tumbled inside the car. Han Seo-yul, her eyes spinning and unable to sit still, quickly asked, Are you okay?" Kim Den's face was twisted in pain. "Subin, right now, quickly erase all evidence that we were ever in Busan. The hotel check-in, the CCTV? If they find out..." At that point, he couldn't speak anymore. Both girls looked up at him in a panic. "Hey, bro." "What's wrong?" Blood was flowing non-stop from the wound in his abdomen. Subin shouted, "We have to get him to a hospital now!" Kim Den tried to stop them. "No, we can't. I don't have the strength to teleport anymore. We'll definitely be caught. Head back to base now." Subin gritted her teeth tense. While steering, she loudly instructed Han Seo-yul. "Seo-yul, first get the first aid kit and treat his wound." Han Seo-yul's eyes were brimming with tears, as if seeing a traumatic scene. Subin turned back and yelled, urging her, "Hurry up!" The girl regained her composure, quickly wiped her tears. Yes, Subin, with a grim expression, floored it. "I'll get us out of here first," on the dark road. The car sped away. Back at the hotel lobby, the hostages were being calmed down by the police. Icicle stood to one side, sighing. Seriously. Such a rare vacation, and these damn villains still won't give us a day off. Shadow. Walker, his face dark, asked, "Can I go rest for a bit?" She turned and replied, Sure, you worked hard. It's my fault for inviting you here to relax anyway." Icicle looked at Shin Haju. "Anyway, since we're already here, Stardust." Meanwhile, Shin Haju was pursing her lips deep in thought, oblivious to her surroundings. On the road, a car was driving. The driver yawned, continuously tired. "I'm so sleepy, I should chew some gum." Suddenly, he saw another car in his rearview mirror. What is that?" That car sped past, moving so fast it was smoking. The driver yelled, "Is that car crazy?" The speedometer was now exceeding 220 km/h. Han Seo-yul tried to treat Kim Den's wound. Subin had a terrifying expression, gripping the steering wheel tightly. At this point, he was covered in blood. The wound was still bleeding despite the bandage. He was sweating from the pain. And in the meantime, Shin Haju clenched her fist and said seriously to Icicle, "We need to look into his movements." Flashback to the past in a room. Kim Den's voice echoed. "It's the villains again. It's always the villains. They harass Stardust in every possible way." Kim Den slammed the book shut and lay on his bed. With a blank expression, he uttered, "And it ends like this." This was the 19-year-old Kim Den of the past. His face had dark circles under the eyes. This story is just utterly depressing to the very end. And that ending? The book fell to the floor. Kim Den tossed and turned on the bed, groaning. Stardust. He mumbled something, then went back to sleep. In the night sky, a beam of light flashed through the window. Cut back to the present. In some house, Han Seo-yul was looking after Kim Den. Her face was pale with exhaustion. Subin brought a tray of food. The girl refused. "I'm not eating." Subin persuaded her. "Seo-yul, please eat a little. Den will wake up." Kim Den was lying unconscious on a medical bed. Han Seo-yul buried her face in her hands and sobbed. Subin sat beside her, heartbroken, trying to comfort her. As the girl ate while crying, a voice suddenly spoke up. "You're still eating well, Seo-yul?" Kim Den looked over, smiling and saying, "Meanwhile, I'm over here about to die." The two girls looked over in astonishment. Then Han Seo-yul's face crumpled and she began to cry loudly again. She wailed while punching Kim Den's body. Subin sat beside them, moved. He just gave a pained smile and cried out in mock pain. Outside, the sky was still dark. An image of Kim Den in a white mask, holding a golden mask, appeared on the internet. News about him was spreading like wildfire. The Agostic terrorist attack, with 0 casualties. Was it really terrorism? Shin Haju sat in front of her computer screen looking up news. The airplane incident also had no casualties. If Agostic hadn't called, and I hadn't been able to act, what would have happened? An image of Kim Den appeared, smiling and saying, "You can do it." Because it's you can do it. Shin Haju lowered her face tense. But he thought I could definitely do it, as if he already knew my powers would be enhanced. Then she suddenly smirked and uttered, "How could he know? It must just be a coincidence." Then she clenched her hand into a fist. "But the fact that I've gotten stronger is undeniable." She picked up someone's information file. "There's another suspicious point. The villains killed by Agostic. This one had the ability to cause a large-scale disaster someday, and he saw that too. Agostic is definitely not a hero. But to call him a simple villain still doesn't feel right. I have a feeling that he's slowly playing some giant game of chess. The next terrorist attack, I must uncover his identity, no matter what." Shin Haju was filled with determination. Meanwhile, with Han Seo-yul, the girl was also deep in thought looking at her phone. So what was the purpose of those terrorist attacks? Agostic. And knew the Hero Association president's real name. Park Jun-ho, formerly Park Man-jun. Could it be that Agostic was a former S-class hero, who, after a conflict with the association, switched sides to become a villain? No, Agostic conspiracy theory. Conflict with Hero Association is trending. Did you know 3 people were sitting around the dining table? This information made Kim Den almost choke. "What, huh? I think I'm gonna throw up." "Stop it." Subin smiled weakly and put her phone away. "Seo-yul, let's not bother Den for now. He's very tired right now." The girl was still dissatisfied and questioned him. "What are you going to do? Are you going to be all 'I'm a villain, I have to be this way,' and keep committing terrorism? In that physical condition?" "Again!" Kim Den was startled by her attitude. "Seo-yul, I... He was at a loss for words. Suddenly, the 2 girls across from him looked at him with sharp eyes. Kim Den had no choice but to make a decision. "We'll take a break for about 3 months. This made both of them light up with joy. "Really?" He confirmed while chewing his food. "Yeah. Let's lay low for a while." He thought to himself. "And during the break, I'll have to recruit a new member." An image of a mysterious person appeared. Kim Den calculated. If things stay as they are, he will become a villain in the future and cause a major imbalance. If I don't kill him, I have to bring him to my side. 3 months later, an announcement rang out. "A villain has appeared. Stardust, prepare to deploy." Shin Haju quickly asked, "Is it Agostic?" The other side denied it. "No, it's a villain calling himself Locker Boom." She replied with disappointment, "Ah, I understand." Then in her hero form, Shin Haju shot through the air like a rocket. As she flew, she wondered to herself, "Agostic, where did you go and what were you doing for the past 3 months? Cut to Kim Den's house. He was watching a large TV screen showing an image of Shin Haju. "Oh, she's here, she's here." Kim Den ate popcorn as excited as if he were watching a movie. Han Seo-yul sat next to him, looking at him with a weary expression. At that moment, the monster Locker Boom, an A-class villain, was exploding with power, roaring. Kim Den cheered through the screen, "Go get him, Stardust!" Shin Haju lunged to attack Locker Boom, yelling, "Are you Agostic?" "I'm not." She flew into a rage, punching her opponent to pieces. On the ground, the bald man lay unconscious with his eyes rolled back. Kim Den excitedly threw his popcorn container in the air, shouting, "Look at that! Powering her up was really worth it." "Stardust!" Han Seo-yul frowned, fed up. "Is that really so fun?" Kim Den flinched guiltily. Well, a little." Suddenly, the girl spoke up loudly, making him spit out his drink. "Okay, time to get to work, mister. I can't stand you hanging around the Stardust fan club all day." He looked over at her, bewildered. "What?" "Seo-yul," Han Seo-yul said in a dark tone. "Kim Den, head of the Stardust fan club. Did you think I didn't know? I'm a famous hacker, you know." But Kim Den quickly grabbed the remote and turned off the screen, making an excuse. "It's just a small hobby," the girl reminded him. "Anyway, today, we were planning to work, weren't we?" Kim Den sat up and asked, "Let's see. Today is the 17th, right?" The girl asked excitedly, "What is it, a terrorist attack?" Kim Den denied it. "No." Han Seo-yul asked again, "Then are we going to eliminate a villain?" He denied it again. "Not that either." Kim Den gave a radiant smile. "We're going to recruit a new member." Cut to a high corner overlooking the town. An elderly couple was enjoying the view below. The man exclaimed, "Wow, this place is still the same. This view hasn't changed a bit in 25 years. Suddenly, someone bumped into him. The person was wearing a hat. Their head bowed so their face couldn't be seen clearly and said, I'm sorry." The man waved it off. "It's okay, I'm fine." "Thank you," said the student. But as the girl walked by, She already had the wallet in her hand. She had blue eyes. When she glanced down, she saw a group of thugs. Each one had a cigarette in his mouth, eyeing her with a sleazy look. The girl gritted her teeth in anger. Just then, a boy with the same clear blue eyes as hers ran up to her. He smiled brightly and called out, "Sis." The boy was 13-year-old Cha-jun. She pinched her brother's cheek and asked, "Did you have fun playing?" The boy replied cheerfully, "Yeah." She noticed her brother's scraped knee. "Your knee is scraped." "Oh, where did you get hurt?" Cha-jun answered innocently, "I tripped on my way home." She held out her hand, which emitted a healing power, and chided, "Honestly, be more careful next time, okay?" Cha-jun watched the wound heal and exclaimed in amazement, "Whoa!" A moment later, the scrape vanished completely. The girl took off her hat and put it on Cha-jun's head. "You head home first, okay?" The boy nodded obediently. "Okay." Removing the hat revealed a beautiful girl with orange hair. She beamed. "I'm going to buy some yummy food and then I'll be back." This is Lee Ha-ju. Later, she would become the villain Celestial Dark. Lee Ha-ju returned with a bag of food. She smiled brightly and called out, "Cha-jun, I bought you some delicious tteokbokki." Suddenly, her face went pale at the scene inside. A voice rang out. "I knew it, this little punk." The bag of food dropped to the floor. Inside was the stray dogs of the Dam District gang. Cha-jun was being held by a masked man. One of them spoke up. "You dare to pickpocket in our territory. If I find out you're hiding anything else, I'll send you to meet your maker." "Got it." This guy's uneven eyes made him look ridiculous but dangerous. Though terrified, Lee Ha-ju yelled, "That's enough. Let Cha-jun go take all this stuff and get out." The man sighed with boredom. "Look at this chick." He grabbed Cha-jun's hair, making the boy scream in pain. He reveled in others' pain. "Hey, you little brat!" Lee Ha-ju was grabbed and held by two of the thugs. "You bastard!" The man continued to pull Cha-jun's hair and said, "Look here. Looks like your big sister doesn't get what's happening, does she?" The man with the scar held a knife to the boy's throat. "Today I'm going to teach you a lesson." Lee Ha-ju screamed in horror. "No, I was wrong." "Please." The vicious, scarred man swung the knife. "Too late, you bitch." Cha-jun squeezed his eyes shut in despair. Suddenly, a force ripped the knife from the man's hand. He looked back, stunned. Then he was thrown against the wall by an unseen force. Dangerous gun barrels appeared aimed at the stray dogs. Cha-jun broke free and rushed forward. Lee Ha-ju hugged him tightly, frantically, calling, "Cha-jun." Dan appeared in the yard. He thought Friday the 17th. Today was the day her little brother Cha-jun was supposed to be killed by that gang. Ha-ju would have been corrupted and gone down the path of a villain. Good thing I got here early. Any later and it would have been a disaster. Cha-jun looked out, stunned, and stuttered, Could it be?" Lee Ha-ju stood protectively in front of her brother. She asked warily, "Are you Ego-stick?" Dan flashed a villainous smile. "A pleasure to meet you, Ha-ju and Cha-jun. I've come to take you both with me." Hearing this, Lee Ha-ju's face darkened and she snapped. "Why would you take us? You're obviously a cruel villain yourself." Dan calmly explained why. "To save you, of course. Didn't you see what just happened? Besides, it'd be a pain if the cops showed up." She refused firmly. "I'd rather die than go with you." "Hey, you bastard, what do you think you're doing?" But Cha-jun had already bolted outside like a flash. Lee Ha-ju froze as if struck by lightning, stunned by the sight. She quickly yelled, Cha-jun, no!" The image before her eyes was of Cha-jun running towards a dangerous, vicious demon. Right now, Cha-jun had run up to Dan and grabbed his hand tightly. He exclaimed, "Ego-stick, I'm in your fan club." The boy looked at him with a face full of admiration and pride, leaving even Dan flustered by the affection. "Huh?" Very quickly, a short while later, Dan brought the two siblings back to his hideout and introduced them to the other members. "All right, so these are our new members. Say hello." Cha-jun's eyes sparkled as he cheered. "Whoa, it's the cyber-terrorist beauty of Ego's team." Subin broke into a sweat at the nickname. "The cyber-terrorist beauty of Ego." Cha-jun's eyes still shimmered with admiration. "So is that person a hacker?" Lee Ha-ju bowed cautiously. Hello, everyone, I'm Lee Ha-ju. This is my little brother, Cha-jun." Han Seo-yul had a serious expression, as if sizing her up. The new member has healing abilities. Turns out it's a girl. A short while later, the five of them had gotten more comfortable. Dan happily opened the huge refrigerator. Cha-jun was still excited. "Of course there are mangoes." Han Seo-yul stared and thought to herself, just like when I first met Dan. But Lee Ha-ju, sitting nearby, was still tense and wary. Dan stood by the fridge, tilting his head back to drink juice. Seeing this, Han Seo-yul bared her teeth and roared menacingly. "Don't put your mouth on it and drink it like that." This startled Dan, causing him to spit out all the juice. "It's mango juice. This one is mine." "Seo-yul, your share is in the fridge." Even though Han Seo-yul knew she'd gone too far, she grumbled, "We'll be more careful next time." Subin gently brought over a plate of peeled apples and asked cheerfully, "Cha-jun, would you like some fruit?" The boy's eyes lit up even more as he cheered, "Wow, thank you." Cha-jun quickly picked up a fork and speared a piece of apple. Lee Ha-ju called out with a worried expression, "Cha-jun." The boy had a large piece of apple in his mouth. He looked over while chewing, wondering, Lee Ha-ju turned away helplessly, still full of anxiety. "It's nothing." Dan smiled brightly and called out, "Han Seo-yul, Miss Subin. I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with them for a bit. Could you two step out for a minute?" Han Seo-yul stuck out her tongue, mimicking his words. "Step out for a minute." Dan was speechless at the girl's personality. "Subin, please go with her to the main house first." Doing so a moment later, only 3 people remained in the room. Dan sat across from the 2 siblings. He spoke first, Lee Ha-ju. "You killed the orphanage director and then ran away." "Correct." This made Lee Ha-ju frown warily. Dan continued, "I've already investigated everything. That director frequently abused you two. My finding you two was no coincidence." "I have a purpose," she asked suspiciously. "What purpose?" Dan exclaimed, "For the 2 of you to live happily." Lee Ha-ju frowned and stared at him. Then she exclaimed in astonishment, "What?" Dan smiled and continued, "Ah. Of course not in this cramped underground place. I've already set up a portal. We'll move to the main house, live there and go to school too." Lee Ha-ju found him very suspicious and questioned, "Why? Why are you doing this for us?" "We just met today." Dan thought of Han Seo-yul and then said, "Because I have a little sister too, that's why I'm doing this." Cha-jun's eyes lit up. I've watched all of Ego Stick's terrorist attacks. I've watched them over and over like 10 times. Dan replied awkwardly, "Is that so? Thanks." He thought frantically to himself, "Should an elementary schooler be watching that stuff?" "Jeez." Lee Ha-ju glared and warned Cha-jun. Dan spoke up again. "Just try living with us for a while. It'll be more fun than you think. We're not as bad as you think." Cha-jun clasped his hands together tightly, full of anticipation for the bright future ahead. Lee Ha-ju seemed to have considered it seriously. "All right." A while later, Dan led the 2 siblings to a location. Here a secret door opened, revealing a mysterious space portal. Dan turned back and said to the 2 with a bright smile, "Follow me." He stepped into the portal, his body gradually disappearing. Lee Ha-ju was still tense, anxious, while Cha-jun excitedly jumped towards the portal's entrance. He turned back and waved. "Aren't you coming, sis? I'm going ahead." Lee Ha-ju called out in alarm, "Cha-jun!" But she sighed helplessly. "Seriously." Finally, she decided to step in after everyone else. A moment later, Lee Ha-ju walked up the stairs with a look of astonishment. Before her, Cha-jun was standing and looking through a glass window. The light streaming in was brilliant and warm. Dan asked, "Do you like it?" "This will be our home." "Cha-jun seems to like it." "I'm on the 3rd floor and you're on the 2nd. There are 2 rooms for you two. Don't worry about school fees. At this age, you're supposed to be in school. I have plenty of money." Lee Ha-ju looked at him, still skeptical. Dan continued in a gentle voice, "If you feel uncomfortable, just stay for a few days and we'll see. If you want to go back, you can say no at any time." "Okay." Lee Ha-ju's eyes widened as she looked at him. Suddenly, she got goosebumps. Her face went pale. She remembered the image of the scarred man holding a knife to Cha's throat. "Junes, I'm going to teach you guys a lesson." At that moment, the boy had shut his eyes in despair. The image of a cheerful Cha-jun now appeared. Lee Ha-ju nodded and replied, "Thank you very much." Dan patted her shoulder reassuringly. "Don't mention it. Let's live well together." In another corner, Dan put on a smug, villainous expression. Successfully recruited 1 older sister. Unexpectedly, he scratched his head blankly. "I feel like I forgot something. What could it be? Night fell the moon high in the sky." Information about him was all over the internet. "What's the hero doing today?" Hero news breaking. "Is Ego Stick really dead?" "Mango Stick ever." "No way." "It's been almost 4 months and he's still vanished. Come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. Come back, come back, come back." 8 comments. Comment 1. "First time I've ever missed a villain's terrorist attacks." Comment 2. "He's not a villain, he's a hero." Comment 3. But seriously, why hasn't he shown up yet? Did he retire? Shinharu sat in front of her computer screen. She was disappointed. Huh, where are you and what are you doing? Ego stick. Her expression was sullen. She had waited to this point of losing almost all her patience. At a laboratory, two people were standing still observing, a strange creature in a liquid-filled tank. Someone spoke. Every time I see it, the doctor with glasses laughed maniacally. I am simply amazed. The white-haired man standing beside him said, until Dr. Kim Shi-woo is released, we will complete this project. We will present the completed behemoth for him to see. The creature inside the liquid chamber stirred. The white-haired man mumbled, if that happens, then South Korea no. The entire world will kneel before our Hanul group. Ours. The madman touched the sphere. His other hand was raised as if to grasp everything. The surrounding scientists immediately burst into loud laughter. One declared, no one can stop us at Subin's house. The brilliant sunlight shone directly into the house. Someone was holding a knife. Her hands moved swiftly, slicing mushrooms into pieces, just thin enough. Subin smiled and told Haju, you can just rest, you know. The girl was startled and replied, no, it's okay, I feel more comfortable this way. Subin smiled and said, thank you. Haju bowed her head and sighed. Subin smiled. Thanks to you, we're prepping faster. And we'll finish sooner. The girl looked sadly at Subin and thought, the beautiful woman kidnapped by Ego Stick's sister Subin. Haju recalled that it had been 4 months since the incident. The girl thought of the newspaper article she had read. Villain takes responsibility and pays compensation with money. Public thrown into chaos. Haju, looking at Subin standing peacefully beside her, reassured herself. But I'm still living happily and well. The fierce rumors about what happened to him have all become meaningless. Just then Haju heard a cry. Hyung, hold my hand for a bit. Dan immediately said, sober up a bit and walk on your own. Seoyul, getting hurt now. The girl looked at Dan, struggling with Seoyul, and pondered, and the true nature of Ego Stick is Kim Dae-in. Dan pulled Seoyul's shirt and asked, after all the work to find a place with this much light, why do you still like sleeping in the basement? The genius girl mumbled in reply, I always hear something about ego-holic or whatever. Then he pulled Seoyul's shirt. Time for breakfast. The food was served. Dan stared at it and exclaimed, meat first thing in the morning. This is great, Haju thought sadly one day. If someone comes back injured, then with my healing ability. The girl looked down at her hands and fell silent. Haju clenched her fists as if determined to do something. After eating, Dan lay on his bed thinking, it's almost time to prepare. To deal with the black disaster that the Hanul group bastards created. He propped his head up with his hand bored. Dan stared at the calendar hanging on the wall. Just then, someone forcefully pushed open the door to his room. A voice rang out. So you've been hiding in here all this time, huh? Mango stick. Seoyul yelled. Let's go stage a terrorist attack right now. I'm bored to death. Dan pondered and let out a small sound. Then he suddenly spoke up. All right, let's do it. Get ready for a terrorist attack. She paused and asked, huh? No, for real. Dan sat up with a smile on his face. He called out, Ego Squad. Everyone assemble. A moment later, in the meeting room, Dan stood with his arms crossed in front of a whiteboard. Haju hesitated. But the young girl's question made everyone pause. Why do you guys carry out terrorism in the first place? Dan cheerfully replied. If one asks the reason for terrorism, one must answer. Someone immediately cut him off. Stop, that's enough. Seoyul said bluntly, Mister. Get to the point already. Dan suddenly said, from now on, it's not Mister anymore, it's... Then he answered Haju's question. Haju, the truth is we are villains. The girl was speechless and thought, I see. Dan said, so we have to commit acts of terror. But we can't let any civilians get hurt. He continued, we also need to stage situations, dilemmas that fit Ego's concept. And we have to drag Stardust into it. That girl... Seoyul cut him off board. These have to be terrorist attacks that have a positive impact on her. Dan said loudly, in short, thank you, Seoyul. The genius girl suddenly teased him. No way did you just curse. I must have misheard. Dan muttered to himself, I did just curse. Then he uncapped his pen and said, anyway, he drew the bridge on the board and continued. The theme for this terrorist act is titled, Is CEO University Bridge About to Collapse? Subin looked at the picture on the board and wondered, CEO University Bridge. He drew a monster and replied, yes. Because Dan drew a piece of land and continued. Right here in Yoido. This winter, a giant monster will appear, and it will head north, wiping out the entire peninsula in one sweep. Dan drew an explosion and finished with the letter N. But if we stage a terrorist attack, that causes the CEO University Bridge to collapse, then what? He continued to illustrate the monster dying. Then boom, the monster whose weakness is water will cry out, while we commit terror and still get to be the villains. In short, it's a win-win for everyone. Seoyul spoke up. Same as always. Where do you get this information? Dan took out his hat, tipped it, and replied, That's a trade secret. The genius girl laughed loudly. Feels like eliminating a villain and committing terrorism at the same time, huh? Plus this time, it seems like it's not for that Stardust girl. Dan was speechless and reminded her, Drop the that girl, this, that girl, that talk, okay? Seoyul beamed and asked, Very good. The concept is locked in, right? Dan also smiled and replied, What do we have a surplus of? She wondered. Time. Here Dan rubbed his thumb and index finger together and answered, No money. A moment later, the live stream started. The moment Dan appeared in his ego stick costume, the audience immediately went wild in the comments. In front of the camera, Ego Stick hovered in midair. A floating speaker was in front of him. Ego Stick began to speak. Hello, everyone. The most influential villain as voted by the Korean Association. Number 1. He smiled and continued, I, Ego Stick, have returned. You all know what I'm going to do, don't you? In a car. The speaker broadcasted Ego Stick's voice. What will I do here on the CEO University Bridge? A bombing, of course. The driver immediately slammed on the brakes and yelled, Terrorism. The cars about to get on the bridge immediately stopped. Ego Stick smiled, pressed a button, and said, Everyone cease all actions. The bridge immediately exploded. Debris flew everywhere. Ego Stick said cheerfully, It seems the invitation of guests to support the game is complete. A viewer commented doubtfully, Who's lucky enough to be invited as a guest? Ego Stick immediately announced, The participants in this game are all the good citizens across the nation. Watching this premiere, it's you. He explained participation is simple. Send your account number to the link in the video description. I will immediately transfer 100,000 gold to you. However, the viewers of the live stream were astonished by the words of Ego Stick. If before 7 p.m. tonight, the number of people who have received 100,000 gold from me exceeds 500,000 people, then I will blow up this bridge immediately. Some were happy while others were shocked and terrified. Ego Stick continued. Of course, the people stranded on it will go with it. He stood before the nearly collapsed bridge and said, Make your choice. Do you want a free 100,000 gold? Or do you want the bridge to explode at any moment? He declared, so the choice of the citizens of Korea, 100,000 gold versus the CEO University Bridge officially begins. Ego Stick smiled and said, Oh, and Miss Stardust, you don't need to come today, just take a rest. A commenter teased, I'll protect my girl. Another user commented, Mango Stick the sweet criminal, making sure Stardust gets a break. Someone else laughed. I'm the hero, you're the villain. You tell me not to come, but will I agree? Ego Stick stretched. He smiled and thought cheerfully, those crazy villains must be happy. That they'll have less trouble now, huh? Someone suddenly rushed towards him. Ego Stick looked at the person who appeared before him and called out in surprise, Stardust! He nearly dropped the remote control. Ego Stick thought in a panic, the detonator. He looked towards Stardust. He remembered it had been a long time since he'd seen Stardust. The two of them stared at each other in silence. Stardust glared at Ego Stick. The pressure weighed heavily on Ego Stick. He called out hesitantly, Miss Stardust. She remained silent. She stared at him with cold eyes. Ego Stick froze. He panicked under Stardust's gaze. What's going on? Elsewhere. Someone was asking, Chief Kim, what are you doing? Smoking? Chief Kim was jumping with excitement. He pointed to the phone in his hand. He told his section chief, Sir, look at this. He asked, What is this? A news article with the headline, Commemorating Mango Stick's Return at University Bridge and Charity Event. Anyone who leaves their account number at the link above will be given 100,000 gold. People were even posting proof on social media. Chief Kim explained, You just have to enter your account number here, and you get 100,000 gold just like that. The section chief was amazed. Let me see that. If over 500,000 people accept he'll blow up CEO, the CEO University Bridge will be blown up, Chief Kim asked. Yes, sir. You know Ego Stick, right? Then he scrolled to another post. Forwarding. Manga Stick's return commemoration livestream at University Bridge and charity event. Leave your account number at the link above, and you will be given 100,000 gold. People were even posting proof on social media. Chief Kim said, "That guy is now staging some kind of a terrorist attack at the CEO University Bridge." The section chief exclaimed, "Oh, that self-proclaimed villain. My goodness, what kind of game is this? Who would accept something like this?" Chief Kim immediately laughed and replied, "I just did, 100,000 gold." The section chief angrily roared, "What, you? How could you?" He saw the section chief's anger and immediately bowed, saying loudly, "I'm sorry, sir." The chief winked and said, "Too slow. I accepted as soon as the news broke." "What do you take me for?" Chief Kim gave a thumbs-up, laughed, and said, "Sir, you scared me. You're a great actor." The section chief laughed even louder. "There's no way we'll exceed 500,000 people. Let's have a company party tonight." He immediately replied, "Yes, sir, elsewhere." A woman was talking on the phone. "Son, are you having dinner? What, my account?" She squinted at her phone screen and mumbled. Trembling, she mumbled, "Oh my God, so suddenly. Who gives out pocket money like this?" On the screen was a notification about receiving money. She exclaimed in shock, "Oh my God, is this real?" What is Ego Squad? On the bridge, the fire from the explosion hadn't stopped. Egoistic wrapped his cloak around himself. He shivered and mumbled, "I didn't expect it to be this cold." He paused. But Stardust just stood there with her arms crossed, watching him. Egoistic sighed. "That stare feels like needles. She's probably waiting for me to blow up the bridge before she makes a move, huh? Why do I feel even colder now?" He turned to look at her, thinking, why is she staring so intently? This didn't happen in the original story. Or is there some event related to the SEO University Bridge? Egoistic thought. I didn't expect her to be this angry. I feel so guilty. He pulled his hood down, telling himself, but there's no other way. It's all for Stardust, for her. With the power of the Black Disaster as described in the original story, she can't stop it right now. Egoistic recalled the Black Disaster. This event in the original story, its first appearance was a brutal one, unlike those other entertaining, time-killing superhero stories. This was the spark that signaled the work would become much darker. He opened his phone, mumbling, "Anyway, let's check." Egoistic was silently amazed. 450,000 people have already claimed it, and there are still 3 hours left. He teleported under the bridge and sighed. The people in this world are really something else. Egoistic rubbed his neck and sighed to himself. I thought it would work out, even if I didn't intervene. Are they really going to let people die because of greed? Seriously. He opened his live stream and started speaking. My good people of South Korea, do you really think you've actually received 100,000 gold? The comments started pouring in. Yeah, it's real. Of course it is. Egoistic put his hand on a car and then asked, You haven't forgotten, have you? He tapped on the car window and announced, We're going to interview a guest who might be sacrificed. Let's have a little chat with someone who's got skin in the game. The car window slowly rolled down. Egoistic looked inside, thinking, From here on, it's out of my control. Probably no more people. We'll get on this bridge, right? He laughed and asked, Oh my. Yes, hello there. Thank you for your hard work. Could you introduce yourself? The black-haired man inside the car smiled and replied, Yes, hello. I'm Choi Dongjin. Egoistic was surprised. Why doesn't he seem worried at all? He leaned against the car and asked, Nice to meet you, Mr. Choi Dongjin. In such a life-threatening situation, do you feel nervous or anxious at all? Dongjin suddenly burst out laughing. Egoistic was silently amazed. Why is he laughing? Dongjin smiled so brightly he practically glowed and said, Why should I be worried? If the viewers don't take the money, then the SEO University Bridge, and I will be safe. Right? Egoistic covered his face, thinking, On their behalf I apologize to you. Look at that innocence. A comment popped up. I was debating whether to take it or not, but after hesitating I decided not to. Someone said, You're so kind. Someone else wondered, Am I a piece of trash? A malicious comment read, Yeah, I'll take it. As long as it's not me, I'm good. Another comment repeatedly typed the words, I'm sorry. Egoistic hesitated for a moment, then wondered aloud. Mr. Dongjin's statement about his strong faith. In the character of the Korean people, we've heard you loud and clear. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Dongjin naively replied, Go Korea. I believe in you all. Meanwhile, Stardust stood in the distance looking towards the bridge. She bit her lip silently, asking, What are you scheming, Egoistic? Egoistic then walked over to another car. He sighed internally again. This is so exhausting, oh my God. Please, can someone just react normally? He stood in front of a car window and slowly began to speak. From inside the car, a loud scream erupted. The girls inside the car peppered him with questions. Your ego. Stick. This is crazy. You look even better in person, so damn handsome. We're not gonna die here today, are we? You bet. We're your fans. They asked again. But you're not really going to kill us, right? You always spare people. Remember the plane crash incident? Yeah. Egoistic was so stunned he froze. He sighed to himself, this is a total mess. He quickly pulled his hat down and said loudly, well then I'll end the interview here. Gotta run. The girls shouted to stop him. Wait a minute, you're so impatient. One of them took out a tablet and pulled on his sleeve saying, sign this before you go. Egoistic immediately took it and signed. The girl in the car said again, let me take 4 pictures. A comment laughed out loud. He's doing everything they ask, huh? So cool. Another person said, I can't even tell who the victim is anymore. Someone in the car chattered on. And I already claimed the 100,000 won? Thanks, another girl said. We got 400,000 won, awesome, let's get spicy hot pot tonight. If we die here, we can't eat it. True, Egoistic thought to himself. I'm never interviewing civilians again. This terror plot is a failure. A while later, Egoistic asked, So Yul, can you turn on the screen? She immediately replied, yes. The TPLS live stream channel appeared, showing the devastated state of the bridge. The lights came on. Egoistic was surrounded by numerous cameras. He bowed and began to speak. Yes, everyone, it's 7 p.m. now, isn't it? He smiled and announced. The 100,000 won and the SEO University Bridge public participation terror event has now ended. I will now announce the results. The comment screen immediately started scrolling rapidly. Let's go, let's go. 500,000 isn't hard. Don't let Dongjin down, Dongjin, I'm sorry. Damn it, if the SEO University Bridge collapses, how am I supposed to get to work? The numbers changed frantically. Egoistic. To build suspense kept pausing. The result is, fireworks around him immediately shot into the sky, creating a beautiful scene. Egoistic announced 425,000 people. They are the ones who received 100,000 won. He shouted happily. Wonderful, the people of South Korea, we are truly wonderful. The people on the bridge panicked. What? Egoistic snapped his fingers and laughed loudly. You selfish people. Please enjoy the final fireworks show. Dedicated to you. The bombs attached to the bridge immediately exploded. Stardust gritted her teeth, cursing under her breath. That guy finally... Amidst the sound of the bombs, Egoistic bowed elegantly and said, Until next time, I remain yours truly, Egoistic. The people on the broadcast immediately felt regret. Is that blood they're dead? Egoistic put his hat back on, sighed, and mumbled, Floating in the air for so long is exhausting. I've really reached my limit. He stood still and said softly, All that's left is to watch Stardust save them. Stardust quickly flew towards a car that was about to fall. She reached her hand out towards the car. Egoistic froze. What is it? Did she catch me? He raised his hand. Mana immediately gathered into a ball in his palm. Egoistic shouted angrily, Damn it! Stardust also rushed towards the falling car. Both Stardust and Egoistic tried to lift the car. Stardust used her hands to pull 2 cars back. After helping her, Egoistic panted and mumbled, I'm out of strength. He suddenly felt dizzy. Egoistic fell through the air. He was about to fall into the water. A spatial vortex appeared and swept him away. Egoistic had teleported back to the base. Seoul and Subin rushed over in a panic. The genius girl shouted in alarm, No! Da-in blood was pouring from Dain's nose and mouth. His eyes gradually lost focus. Seoul and Subin stood outside the healing pod. Seoul pleaded sadly, Please open your eyes, Oppa. Hazu stood outside. The young girl lowered her head, hugging her arms. Seoul looked at him lying motionless there. Please. Hazu stood silently outside the room. The girl looked up and took a deep breath. Hazu rubbed her eyes with her fingertips. Elsewhere. Hazu stood on the balcony. She thought to herself, Egoistic. Hazu took out the newspapers. On them were headlines all related to Egoistic and Stardust. Egoistic sends warning letter to Stardust. Stardust's speech at the observatory. Ice cream festival terror attack. She remembered Egoistic's words. Don't even think about revealing your face and stepping out. The moment you do, your life will become very hard. Hazu remembered. Stardust thwarted Egoistic's plain terror plot. And that time too. If he hadn't given me courage... She frowned, thinking I definitely wouldn't have dared to act. Back then it was his voice that made me believe I could do it. Hazu said to herself, "You seem to know everything about me." She remembered Egoistic's encouragement. "You can do it." So she sighed and mumbled, "Go and save them." Hazu recalled the moments she saw Egoistic, and she kept asking herself, a person who creates terror attacks, "It's been a while, so I have a lot I want to say. But are you really a villain? Are you really a murderer?" Hazu clenched her fists, lowered her head, and thought, "What is your true nature, Egoistic?" But because of an unclear feeling, she remembered the time she stared at Egoistic. In the end, I couldn't say a word. And as she was flying towards the car, falling into the river, she silently prayed, "Please." Stardust gritted her teeth, thinking, "Touch it." The car was covered in a faint purple light. Stardust immediately noticed the speed was decreasing. She turned her head to look at Egoistic. Stardust saw him use his power and then fall, after rescuing the people. Then Stardust looked towards the river. While the fangirls were cursing Ego-Stick, "I really want to kill him, that evil bastard." On the bridge there was only rubble and smoke. The river surface was calm. Stardust was silently worried. Hazu clenched the newspaper in her hand, thinking, "It's come to this." She asked herself, so is Egoistic really? Just then a voice called out, "Why are you so gloomy all by yourself?" This was another terror attack, with no casualties. A girl with light blue hair, carrying 2 cans of beer, walked towards Hazu and asked my little beauty Shin Hazu. The person who arrived was Lee Sihua, the Grade A hero icicle. Hazu immediately said happily, "Sihua, thanks for coming." Sihua immediately hugged her and replied, "What are you talking about?" Of course I had to come. Hazu smiled. Her cheeks were flushed. 2 cans of beer were opened. The 2 quickly clinked cans. Sihua downed more than half the can in one go. She laughed loudly, "Awesome." Looking at the night view of Seoul with Hazu and enjoying a bit of everyday peace like this, she paused, her eyes glancing to the side. Sihua sighed and asked, "What's wrong?" "Hazu, you're home from work, but you're still working? Is it because of that bastard Egoistic again?" Hazu nodded. Sihua comforted her, "Come on, don't worry about it. The government even said the crime rate has dropped, and they even seem happy about it. But honestly, I don't dare say it out loud, but in this recent terror attack, it didn't seem like he wanted to harm you anymore." Hazu suddenly asked, "But hey, Sihua, can you listen to me for a bit?" She said, "In my opinion, maybe Ego-Istic isn't really a bad guy elsewhere." Hazu walked on. The young girl saw Seo-yul sleeping exhaustedly on the floor. Hazu took a blanket and covered Seo-yul with it. The girl silently walked towards the emergency room. Hazu opened the door and stepped inside. The girl looked up. He was still lying in the healing pod. She walked over to the pod and asked herself, "Should I step in and help? Even though he seems like a good person. What if he also changes like those who once craved my power?" Hazu pondered, "What should I do?" Just then Dain suddenly convulsed in pain. The girl thought with tears in her eyes, this person knowing nothing still saved both Chaehyun and me. He was kind without asking for anything in return. And now he's dying right in front of me. Dain was breathing raggedly in pain. A tear fell onto the glass as the girl asked herself, "Am I just going to let him die like this?" Hazu mumbled, "I'm sorry, Dainopa, I'm not brave enough." The girl whispered, "You're truly a good person. But if you knew about my powers, I'm scared. Scared that you'd become like them too." Hazu wiped the tears from her face with her arm. The girl took a step back. Hazu raised her hand and a faint blue light flashed. The girl said with determination, "But I'll try to be brave just this once." The wound on Dain's stomach gradually healed, until the wound closed and stopped bleeding. The faint blue light finally stopped. Dain's breathing also began to stabilize. Then Hazu left the room. Before going out, Hazu turned around and said, "Thank you." Hazu quickly walked away. Inside the healing pod, Dain placed a hand on his stomach, thinking, "Finally, I've recruited a healer." The glass opened. Dain sat up and called out softly, "Hazu!" He smiled and said, "Thank you. Elsewhere." Sihua and Hazu had already finished 4 cans of beer. Sihua said, "Okay, so to sum it up," she continued, "Ego-Stick's terror attacks are strange in that there are never any casualties, except for the villains." "From the mysterious call during the plane terror attack?" she asked. "To him saving the falling car this time, right?" Hazu nodded with sparkling eyes. Sihua laughed teasingly. "Oh my God, Shin Hazu. You actually believe that conspiracy theory about Ego-Stick being a secret S-class hero, Apple Mango? Really, is that you?" Are you really the grade A hero, Stardust? Is that Shin Hazu? Hazu silently cursed herself. I've dug my own grave. She turned her head and said angrily, it's not about believing or not believing. I'm saying this because I feel like it's not just a conspiracy theory. Sihua kept teasing her. Tell me your username on the Mangostic fan club. I don't have one, just kidding. Don't be mad, little Hazu. Hazu glared at Sihua. She cleared her throat and said, anyway, she asked. It's true that there are some ambiguous points, but he's very professional at doing bad things, isn't he? Hazu hesitated. That's also true. Sihua questioned, oh my god. So what's the problem? Just treat him like a villain, Hazu. Hazu lowered her head sadly, thinking, from what I can see, Ego Stick seems to be looking at a much bigger picture. I don't know what it is, but... Sihua said again, hey, workaholic Shin Hazu, let's stop talking about that weird hat-wearing villain. So has anyone caught your eye lately? You should take this break to go on some dates. Hazu immediately retorted, what do you know about dating? Sihua, who is actually the heiress to the massive Yuseong group, blushed and said, my family is extremely strict about my private life. It's not that I can't meet anyone, I just don't want to yet. Hazu teased her, Sihua, why is your face so red, so cute? Sihua immediately replied, no, it's not at a large prison. A black car stopped in front of the gate. An old man stepped out. He was Kim Seon-woo, the S-class villain and technical advisor for the Hale Group. A white-haired doctor greeted him with a smile. You've worked hard, sir. Dr. Seon-woo cut him off. Skip it, what's the progress? The white-haired man reported currently at 56%. Progress is going very smoothly. The project is expected to be completed around September of next year. He clicked his tongue. Tisk! Seon-woo criticized, too slow. No matter what, all preparations must be completed this winter. The white-haired doctor silently glanced at him. After getting into the car, Seon-woo ordered his subordinate, let's go. He thought to himself, just you wait. He told himself before this winter is over, everything in this country of Korea will be at the feet of Dr. Kim Seon-woo at Ego. Stick's base from the TV. A reporter announced, breaking news, Dr. Kim Seon-woo, who was suspected of concealing unethical experiments, was released this morning at 7 a.m. Mr. Kim Seon-woo is expected to return to a frontline position. At the Hale Group, Dane rested his chin on his hand, watched the TV, and said with a smile, all right, let the players enter the field. Seo-il walked by and exclaimed, oh my god, what kind of line is that? 3 months later, a snowstorm covered the entire city. Chaehyun, bundled up in warm clothes, ran out into the yard shouting happily, it's snowing so exciting, come back here. Seo-il ran after him shouting, hey, I was here first. Subin and Hazu walked to a table. Subin took a sip of hot cocoa. She smiled and asked, this feels nice, doesn't it? Hazu replied, yeah. It's really great. Dain walked over and called out, hey, Seo-il, can you walk properly? What's with those steps? You've ruined the layer of snow, he rambled on. The snow was so beautiful just now, pristine and untouched. A snowball hit him straight in the face. Seo-il shouted, game on! Seo-il and Chaehyun taunted him, come over here. Come on, Mangostic. Dane silently raised his hand. 2 snowballs hit both of them straight in the face. Dane raised his hand, then gritted his teeth and declared, you little brats, bring it on. I'll teach you some manners. Special skill. Frozen Blitz. Seo-il shouted in astonishment. What the heck, hey, that's cheating, Mangostic. Chaehyun also protested, that's a clear loophole. The young boy raised both hands and declared, I give up, I surrender. Seo-il looked over at the boy in shock. Dane replied, accepted. Chaehyun laughed loudly, I'm safe. Just then Dain suddenly asked Seo-il, are you ready? A giant snowball came crashing down, turning Seo-il into a snowman. Dain laughed loudly and said, I'm starving, let's go get a light snack. Chaehyun shouted, yes, sir. Dain ate and spoke at the same time. So good chocolate cookies. He and Hyun ate, laughed, and talked cheerfully, forgetting all about Seo-il. She walked towards them. He looked up while asking Chaehyun, can you ask Hazu-san to bring some more? A snowy fist went straight into Dain's head. Dane's face slammed into the table. Seo-il was flustered. Mangostic is toast. Did I hit him too hard? The snowball had ice in it. Chaehyun asked awkwardly, are you okay? The genius girl, panicking, now shook Dain's shoulder and called out, we killed Mangostic Dain. Hazu walked over and glanced at him. The girl said, he's smiling. So obviously faking it. Dain mimicked Seo-il's words, Oppa. Dane covered his face, pretending to be shy. I'm so touched. Seo-il, were you really worried about me? Seo-il gritted her teeth, blushing. Seo-il held up a snowball with 2 frozen water bottles stuck in it. Dane immediately screamed, "But that's gonna hurt." She roared, "Shut up!" Then she chased after Dain. As he ran from Seo-il, he recalled, "Over the past 3 months, we've relaxed and enjoyed the winter. I also thought about causing another terror attack. But Stardust is now as strong, as she was in her 3rd year in the original timeline. So there's no need anymore." Dain looked at Heizu and thought, "But really the only change is that..." Hazu-san has started to smile more. Maybe finally, she's become less cold and has opened up to us. One by one. Hands pointed straight at him. And public opinion about me has also completely shifted. Everyone blamed the SEO bridge collapse entirely on egoistic. My reputation has completely tanked. The 1.2 million people who took my money obviously had to find someone to blame. The selfish citizens told themselves, it's the fault of that egoistic guy who staged that monstrous terror attack there. That's right. How dare he? And he even called us accomplices. Dane scoffed. How convenient, isn't it anyway? Becoming a villain was my original goal. He thought, now I just need to wait for the black disaster to appear. Just then, Seo-il jumped on him and shouted, "I got you." Dane fell to the ground but laughed happily. You win. But in the blink of an eye, Seo-il was a snowman again and Dain quickly ran away. Subin saw this and laughed loudly. "What's with that tragic scream?" Hazu said worriedly. "You'll get hurt if you keep playing those games." Everyone sat back at the tea table and discussed, "I'm starving. What should we eat tonight? We played so much. How about a BBQ? Awesome, let's hurry inside. It's freezing out here. Let's go get Seo-il first." Oh, right. Elsewhere, warning lights flashed red continuously. The research lab was collapsing. The staff were running around in a panic. Kim Seonu fell to the ground screaming frantically. Impossible. This can't be happening. Damn it, where has everything gone? An employee shouted, "Doctor, you have to run now." He immediately protested, "Let me go. How could I abandon my life's research?" He turned his head to look at the explosion site. A strange creature slowly emerged from the smoke. 2 staff members helped Sunwoo up. One of them shouted, "Please, doctor!" "We have to run," Sunwoo muttered. "It can't be Hermes. How can test subject number 1? It's just a prototype, yet it has consciousness." The creature named Behemoth opened its wide mouth and roared. In a high-rise building, security guards were running around in chaos. A sudden explosion occurred. Stardust quickly ran inside the building. She threw open the door to a room and demanded, "Mr. President, what is going on?" The man pointed at the screen and yelled urgently, "Stardust, look. Behemoth has already left the lab and is starting to destroy the city." The man said in terror, "Where did that monstrous thing come from?" Stardust looked up sharply, sensing something. She screamed, "Run!" Outside, Behemoth had started to destroy the building. An unlucky driver was trapped in the debris it caused. A wall slammed into the car. The driver luckily jumped out just in time. He cried out in panic. "My car!" someone shouted back. "Forget the car, just run." Behemoth was still rampaging, destroying everything around. Buildings were collapsing one after another. A man held his son, praying in fear. "Oh God," Behemoth roared. The man screamed in terror. "Oh my God," Stardust announced as she rushed out of the room. "I'm heading out immediately." Junho stopped her. "Calm down, Stardust. You can't face something that big alone." Stardust turned back and retorted, "I can't just sit back and watch it rampage like this. You just sit there and eat your popcorn, Mr. President." The man exclaimed in shock, "What?" A loud noise made her turn around. On the screen was the scene of Behemoth destroying everything. Then it reached the university bridge. Instantly it fell into the river. Then it slowly sank. The atmosphere in the room immediately quieted down. Junho called out, "Stardust!" She answered, bewildered. The man gave an order. "I want a full report on my desk by tomorrow morning." Popcorn, my foot. Stardust hesitated, sorry. At Agostic's base. He was calmly eating popcorn. The moment Behemoth fell into the river, everyone immediately cheered, "Yay!" Night fell, but one house's lights were still on. Haru was sitting at her desk, scrolling through news on her computer screen. Her eyes landed on an article with the headline, "Discussion. Are there still idiots who think Agostic is a villain?" The article explained and argued, free discussion. Must read for those who still think Agostic is a villain. The black disaster creature. This creature still possessed a certain level of intelligence. If its consciousness had fully awakened, in short, even if the top 3 American S-class heroes fought it all day, they wouldn't have won. If time went on and it gained more intelligence, it would learn to avoid its weakness, water and destroy everything in Korea. Conclusion. Praise Egostic. After reading the article, Haru sighed. She thought to herself while chewing on a tangerine slice. It's unbelievable. Who would have thought things would turn out like this? In reality, if the stick hadn't collapsed the bridge ahead of schedule, no hero in Korea could have stopped that monster. Thinking about this dilemma, Haru fell into a contemplative silence. Musing, this can't be true. It was dark outside. Only a few streetlights provided illumination. Haru put on a hat. Dressed neatly, she ran through the dark, deserted streets. Her neatly tied hair flew with her steps. In her mind, she kept reminding herself, he's a villain and I'm a hero. No matter what, I am the one who protects people. With a serious expression, Haru ran forward quickly. On the TV at that moment, the anchor was reporting new information. The next news story revealed that the experiments of a top Korean corporation, the Hanul Group, were the source of the recent Black Disaster incident, a shocking revelation for the entire nation. Hanul Group headquarters, a corporation that collapsed overnight. No trace of human presence at the Hanul building. The screen immediately cut to the Hanul Group building to illustrate the scene. The anchor continued the report. The chairman of the Hanul Group, along with Dr. Kim Si-hoo, the one responsible for the Black Disaster experiment, have disappeared with their research team. Dayan was having dinner with Seoyul, Subin, and Haru while watching the news. Hearing this news, Dayan couldn't help but remark. So it ended up like this. Haru punched the air. Satisfied, she cursed, serves those bastards right. Subin was even less satisfied. Flailing her fists angrily, she said, it's not enough. Seo-il agreed, chiming in aggressively. We have to catch all those who ran away. Let's form a coalition to bring justice to the Hanul Group executives. Hanul. Dayan, holding a pair of plastic chopsticks, waved his hand dismissively and told them not to worry. They'll be caught soon enough. Then he smiled and asked them, more importantly, after we eat, can everyone gather here? Subin looked confused, not understanding what he was planning. Seo-il, who had been all fired up, deflated when she heard him. She asked suspiciously, what are you planning now? Every time you say that, I get scared. Looking at the detailed blueprint that Da-in unfolded for them, all 3 of them, Seo-il, Subin, and Haru, shouted in disbelief. The underground lab of the Hanul Group. After shouting, Subin and Haru fell silent. Only Seo-il, still freaking out, asked loudly, what's there? Dayan, exasperated, looked at her and asked, what do you mean? He circled B9 in red pen. Then he smiled slyly and said cryptically, something completely insane. Behemoth. The ultimate weapon created by the Hanul Group during their super soldier experiments. They use it by implanting it into a human body. That tangled round mass of wires is a living entity made from materials that can withstand nukes and atomic bombs. Since the Black Disaster was the prototype for Behemoth, the mutation evolved from it. On Earth right now, if its power is perfected, it will probably, after his long and roundabout explanation, Dayan noticed the reactions of the other 3. They were confused, scratching their heads. Then their expressions turned grim and they hesitantly asked, why? Why are you all like this? The 3 of them, Seo-il, Subin, and Haru, had stone-faced, scowling expressions. But then Seo-il spoke up, her face dark. She questioned him in a low voice. So it's a super monster army. Are you going to mess up your body again? Getting 2 more holes in your stomach would be cool, right? Dayan's face went pale, looking helpless. He unconsciously avoided their gaze and said nothing. Seo-il, getting more worked up, jumped to her feet. She pointed at his face and screamed, are you kidding me? Dayan raised his voice and argued back, I want to get stronger too. Hearing that, Seo-il became even more furious and jumped onto the table. She furiously punched him, grinding her teeth and yelling, you want to get stronger? Dayan blocked each of her punches. Not daring to say anything more, Subin couldn't watch anymore. She stood up to stop them, pleading, both of you stop it. Dayan thought to himself, the original story definitely. In the original story, there was no mention, specifically about the Hero Association's next move. But every punch from Seo-il that came at him he blocked easily, making her exclaim in frustration. Dayan was still lost in thought, wondering, Nothing serious happened, right? Early morning, blue sky, white clouds. In a corporation's high-rise building. An assistant stood at the podium reporting the latest situation. There are many signs of biological activity detected in the buried underground laboratory. It seems the creatures and researchers the Hanul group was experimenting on are still alive. Junho sat straight listening and asked a question. Shadow Ga-hyun, attending the meeting online, also reported, I tried to approach last night, but my shadow couldn't reach it. It was blocked by a frequency wave emitted by that dark thing. After hearing this, Junho asked Stardust, you heard that? Support will be difficult. Are you still going, Stardust? At that moment, Stardust was hovering in midair, observing the large hole below. She adjusted her earpiece decisively and replied, yes. Junho's voice came through with instructions. Very good. I approve the exploration mission of the corporation's underground base. Hanul. Stardust accepted the mission. She flew straight down into the large hole, unaware that Agostic was standing on the rooftop of a nearby building, watching her. Ego. Stick spoke his thoughts aloud, sounding tense. This makes me a bit nervous since it's not quite going according to plan. Seol on the other end of the line heard this and sarcastically snapped back. If you're scared, you can come back right now. Subin beside her, afraid of them starting a fight, quickly stepped in to mediate. Seol, don't be so provocative. Agostic didn't take the bait. He boasted with overflowing confidence. Man, you're talking as if I in Kim am afraid of some monsters. Seol was typing on her keyboard. She couldn't help but show her contempt. Subin was just exasperated with the two of them, but in the end, both of them smiled genuinely, reminding him, be careful. Ego used magic poof. Their live stream began. He started with an introduction. Nice to see you all. I am Agostic. Then he immediately created some effects to build curiosity and attract viewers. Then he got to the main point. Is this a terrorist attack? What's happening today? You must be very curious, right? Unfortunately, today is not for terrorism. It's for exploration. Live chat. Current viewers, 10,000. Streamer started 1 minute ago. Comments. Netizens were clamoring, what is this? Oh, this is the streamer that S-Class hero Apple Mango watches. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Demand an explanation from the CEO. If you knew it would be destroyed like that. Where is this? Why is it so dark? What crazy thing are you planning today, LOL? The screen panned to the surrounding machinery. Agostic explained in a mocking tone. This place is the underground base of the Hanul group. That's right, the very place that created that horrifying disaster. What did they do here? I'm so curious I can't stand it. Shall we go take a look? At headquarters, Junho was screaming, Stardust, Stardust! Can you hear me? The assistant beside him advised. It seems she's gone too deep for the signal, for the radio waves to reach. Junho slammed his fist on the table in anger, seething. Who does Agostic think he is barging into a place like that? Then he ordered sullenly, Assistant, get me some popcorn. The assistant replied, Yes, sir, stood up and left. Meanwhile, Agostic pointed the camera. Panning across the machinery here? He spoke in a sarcastic tone. Look, everyone, what have those bastards been doing here? Agostic looked around, feigning anger. The viewers watching the screen were also debating and arguing. Some were sentimental, others curious. The atmosphere is so serious it's really scary. Why is there nothing here? Right where did everything from before go? Be careful, Agostic. The camera moved through every nook and cranny of the place. Agostic said, half joking, half serious, would I? The man who once shook all of Korea. I'd be scared by traces of a small experiment like this. Suddenly hearing a noise, he turned on a light. He became alert. Frantically maneuvering, he raised several defensive guns. Suddenly he spotted a white cat and instinctively yelled. What the? Agostic wondered aloud. It's just a cat, right? After saying that, he immediately raised his guard, thinking suspiciously. But why is there a cat here? The cat suddenly collapsed. Red tendrils wrapped around it. The cat suddenly backed into a corner. Agostic froze, stunned. The cat with blood-red eyes stood on the pile of red tendrils, staring intently at him and let out a meow. Hearing another noise behind him, he quickly turned around. A monster with a demonic face appeared. It aggressively charged towards him, reaching out with its sharp-clawed hands. Agostic was so terrified he screamed without making a sound. His face turned pale with fear. Stardust was now venturing deeper into the dark tunnel. Suddenly she heard gunshots. She immediately stopped and whipped around, thinking. Gunshots. The scene cuts back to our main character. At this moment, he was regretting his stupid decision. As he ran, he thought, I shouldn't have come in here. I should have listened to Seoyul. Stronger my ass. I should have just stayed home and practiced my telekinesis. Meanwhile, the large-faced monster behind him was still closing in on him. He continuously controlled the floating guns. This only made Agostic more and more terrified. He ran for his life at full speed, muttering to himself nonstop. It's too late for regrets now. Since I'm here, I have to get my hands on Behemoth before I leave this place. Just as he thought that, as luck would have it for our villain protagonist, he tripped, causing his whole body to tumble countless times forward, his face contorted in pain. He quickly glanced back at the monster behind him. Sure enough, taking advantage of the protagonist's fall, it was right beside him, drooling incessantly, as if preparing to feast on a delicious meal. With no other way to save himself, Agostic had to command all the guns floating around him to open fire simultaneously. This riddled the monster's body with countless bloody holes. However, for its enormous body, these small wounds were apparently not enough to finish it. Instead, it only made the monster even more furious. The monster let out a loud roar, causing the laboratory to shake violently. Finally, everything collapsed in a cloud of dust. Not long after, somehow, Agostic miraculously survived the collapse. However, his whole body was soaked and aching. He muttered to himself, "How deep does this place go?" In the chaos, I even left my camera and guns behind. "All right, COL, can you hear me?" He tried to contact the genius girl. However, there was no response. This made the feeling of unease and fear in the protagonist's heart rise. Looks like the signal can't reach here. Now I'm starting to feel a little scared for real. Just a little bit, he thought, while scanning his surroundings. However, before the villain protagonist, I could observe for long, tremors echoed from nearby. Then the hero, Stardust, appeared from nowhere and punched a wall, leaving a deep dent in it. With her superhuman senses, Stardust also began to sense something. This feeling is so familiar. Could it be Agostic? She said, narrowing her eyes at the main character. And after confirming his presence, she immediately went into a defensive stance and questioned him. "What are you doing here?" On the other side, Agostic was already freaking out. He became flustered and stammered. "Wait, Stardust. I'm the one who should be asking you that. What are you doing here?" In response to this, the hero cracked her knuckles and stated firmly, "I'm a hero. Cleaning up places like this is part of the job." Right, her words left Ego Stick speechless. Yeah, you're right." He nodded and said, "Meanwhile, Stardust realized this was a golden opportunity to deal with the villain in front of her. Perfect timing, an unexpected bonus. If you come along quietly, it won't hurt." The moment she finished speaking, Stardust dashed forward, reaching out to grab the main character, and Agostic promptly used his teleportation to dodge, and so the two of them began a chase. Continuously in this confined space, the danger was that Stick was only narrowly dodging each time. The Stardust attacked. Finally, he had to put his hand up to stop her. To stall for time. "Wait a minute, stop. I know in your eyes I'm just a villain, but look around, it's too dangerous here, and you don't know what this place is either, right? Since we're both here, why not form a temporary alliance until we get to the lower levels?" The protagonist made his proposal, and after about 3 seconds of thought, Stardust didn't agree right away but asked in return, "Then why don't you tell me the reason?" "You're here first." Agostic shrugged and replied with some embarrassment. "Well, let's call it curiosity. The people here are the ones who created the Black Disaster, so I thought they might have made something else too." Regarding this answer, Stardust was clearly considering whether it was true or not. After a few seconds, she gave a tentative nod. "Acceptable. Fine, let's team up. Follow me. I'm having trouble with these monsters, so you can lend a hand," she said as she turned and walked away. As for Agostic, he saw that Stardust accepted so easily and was a bit surprised. I was just trying my luck. How did it turn out like this? Back to Stardust's train of thought. Of course, she had her own calculations for cooperating so quickly. If I try to catch him by force, he might just escape again. It's better to keep him close and travel together. Maybe I'll get to understand Agostic better too. Time passed quickly. Now the two of them were searching for documents inside some room. Agostic took the opportunity to look around. These actions seemed to annoy Stardust a bit. She immediately slammed her fist into the wall next to the protagonist and yelled loudly, "What are you dawdling around here for? Villain, I'll crush you. This area is full of secrets. Get lost." Seeing her looking like a lioness ready to devour him, Agostic obediently said, "Yes, ma'am. I'll get going right away." "Oh my, so scary," Agostic said tearfully. However, after noticing the appearance of the hero working diligently, his face suddenly blushed with excitement. "Getting to go along together like this, I'm loving this." Next, as if they couldn't find any clues in that room, the two of them quickly left, walking behind. Agostic was a bit surprised by Stardust's ability. She's leading the way so easily. Could her extrasensory perception ability have developed to this level already? Putting that aside, the two of them arrived at the superpower nullification room. Its suspicious-sounding name made Stardust not want to enter. Instead, she turned around and told the villain behind her, "Hey, Agostic, you go inside." Agostic jumped at her words and shouted, "Me, I have to go inside." To this, Stardust didn't say much. She just raised her fist towards him as a threat, which made the protagonist not dare to disobey. He quickly agreed. "Of course I have to go in. Obviously I have to go in," though he said that he felt a bit miserable inside. "She's clearly treating me like a lab rat." Literally. Then Agostic opened the door and stepped inside. He took the hat off his head and tried throwing it into the room to test it. "My telekinesis isn't working. And I can't use teleportation either," Agostic thought as he closed his eyes, concentrating on trying to use his powers. But alas, nothing happened. "It's really not working," he muttered again. The hero's face behind him also darkened a bit, and she asked, "For real?" Over here, Agostic was about to figure out the principle of how this room worked when suddenly an explosion sound came from behind him. The cause turned out to be the girl, Stardust, who had punched the wall, causing the wall to crack into countless pieces. Agostic also widened his eyes when he witnessed this, turning to Stardust. The girl seemed a bit arrogant about destroying the wall. "I just wanted to check if it really nullifies powers." "It really does. I don't lie about things like this." Agostic didn't pay much attention to these words. He was both surprised and thrilled, but also worried. She just broke it with pure strength. How that's so cool. But wait a minute. What if it collapses and buries us? On the other hand, her growth is truly astounding. Before he could think any further, suddenly a siren blared. The air made both of them a bit tense. Both thought to themselves simultaneously, "We're trapped in a confined space with no superpowers. A hero and a villain, no way. Two adults alone and together." Stardust lost her cool. She punched the ground. He spoke up, "It's no use, miss." "Stardust, stop it." He looked forward and said, "Look over there," he said casually. "The space gate will probably open in about 3 hours. Don't waste your energy. Wait until then to get out." At this, Stardust became anxious and tense. Her face darkened. Her injured hand unconsciously clutched the wound. A sharp pain shot through it. "Ugh!" Dane looked down and noticed Stardust's bleeding wound. He sighed, stood up, and approached her, saying, "Honestly, why are you so stubborn? Especially when you can't even use your powers." Seeing Dain's actions, Stardust immediately went on guard. He held out his hand and said gently, "Give me your hand." Hearing Dain's words, she was still stunned, not understanding why. Then her injured hand was carefully bandaged by him. She looked down at her hand, biting her lip as if wanting to say something. Stardust quickly turned away and reminded him, "I'm not going to thank you." Seeing this, Dain couldn't help but tease. "Sounds like you're thanking me, though." Hearing that, her expression turned grim, and she immediately punched the wall. He quickly changed the subject. "Ah! Yes, I get it. This way, right? Be careful with your hand." Then Dain said no more. He took off his hat, placed it gently on the ground, and sat down nearby, saying, "Ha! I'm gonna lie down for a bit." Hearing this, she exclaimed, "What?" Dain lay down, turned away, and relaxed. "There's nothing to do for the next 3 hours anyway. If you have nothing to do, Stardust, you should get some sleep. Conserve your strength." Hearing this, Stardust just stood there, seemingly contemplating something. And so, she also sat down, leaning against the wall in silence. Although he said that an hour later, the main character was still lying on the ground, eyes wide open. "How the hell can I sleep?" He silently wiped away a tear of frustration. "The truth is, I can't let my guard down. Not even for a second." Dain glanced at the person behind him. "I'm a special-grade criminal, and Stardust is stronger than a grown man, even without superpowers. If I let my guard down, Just then their eyes met. Stardust, feeling awkward, unconsciously ran a hand through her hair to avoid looking at him. Then they both awkwardly turned away, pretending like nothing happened. Time passed. 2 hours later. Stardust was hugging her knees, head down. Dane was also flustered, sighing to himself. Why does it feel like the oxygen is running out? This time he was genuinely tired. He looked at her, guessing. Stardust looks like she's having trouble breathing. Suddenly a voice rang out, "Hey!" Dane was startled, confused. Huh? Stardust, with her face still buried in her knees, said, "That car, was that you?" Hearing that, he immediately panicked. She figured it out. Dane couldn't help but remember the situation then. "I used magic." She looked straight at him and asked, "The car. Did you stop it?" Dane immediately and frantically denied it. "I'm a villain. I don't know how to stop." "What are you talking about?" "Because I always charge forward." Seeing this, Stardust got annoyed. "What nonsense are you talking?" Then she asked again. "Then what about the plane? Why did you tell me to save it?" Hearing these questions, he became more and more flustered. His eyes darted around as he continued to explain. "I've already told you about that." "Wait, why are you like this? I'm the villain." "You're the hero. Your existence makes me more complete." "What else? That's our relationship." Telling a hero to save people. He couldn't help but sweat bullets and back away. Is that weird? Not at all. The atmosphere fell into silence once again. Dane was sweating profusely. "I panicked and probably overdid it." "Ah, whatever. It's because of the lack of oxygen." Stardust calmly spoke up again. "Then what about collapsing the bridge?" She turned to him and asked, "The existence of the monster. That the monster would come to the bridge. Did you know beforehand and do that?" Hearing this, Dane was startled. He gave a forced laugh and asked Stardust back. "Stardust, you believe in those ridiculous conspiracy theories online?" Dane looked at her and asserted, "Of course, I was a bit surprised too. It was obviously a coincidence." However, her face remained skeptical. "What's with that expression? Damn it, is she seriously investigating me?" Dane was in turmoil internally. Did I miss something? All the events from that time flashed through his mind. Mapo Bridge. Next was the scene of the plane exploding. Then the appearance of the black disaster monsters. At this point, he silently guessed, Stardust doesn't believe in conspiracy theories. Instead, she's doubting whether I'm a villain or not. Dane understood. This was because of her interactions with him. But the suspicion arose, naturally, from the previous terror incidents. In other words, it's a hero's intuition. He couldn't help but lower his head, covering his face in thought. A clumsy explanation and will only make her more suspicious. Dane let out a laugh. Keka! Stardust heard this and was confused. Over here, he made a decision. The only way out is to face it head on. Then in front of her stunned face, Dane laughed maniacally. He confirmed, "That's right. I knew everything. I knew the monster was coming, so I collapsed it first." Hearing this, Stardust's expression was still full of doubt. A top-tier secret ability, prophecy form. As she looked at Dane, his voice rang out darkly. So Dane smiled with a villainous aura and asked, "What are you going to do to me?" To put it simply, so what? He was pleased with himself. That's called strategy. Sounds pretty logical, huh? Stardust spoke up, continuing her questions. "How did you know? Do you really have the power of prophecy or something?" He answered, "Hacking." Dane laughed like a madman. "I can play around with South Korea's entire information network. So what's so strange about knowing a little secret information? Prophecy, what a joke." "You're so naive." Hearing this, she remained calm and asked again, "But it's still weird." He turned in surprise. "What? What else is weird, Stardust?" Stardust voiced her question. "Why did you prevent damage to civilians? Aren't you a villain?" Dane, hearing that, his heart skipped a beat and he stammered out an explanation. "That's because I hate losing the spotlight. So I timed my actions with the monster's appearance." Panicking, he just blurted out whatever he could think of. If the civilian damage is too great, then no one would pay any attention to me anymore. It's all to get attention. If it wasn't for that, whether civilians die or not, I wouldn't care. What does that have to do with me? Stardust remained silent, seemingly verifying what Dane was saying. Sweating, he pointed at her and asked again, "Do you understand now, huh?" Suddenly, she stood up straight and looked towards Dane. He was also stunned and looked straight at Stardust, not understanding what was happening. She just stood there silently staring at Dane. Then Stardust's face became more and more intimidating. He looked up, his whole body tense and stiff. Dane looked up to meet her sharp, cold eyes. "Hazu." She stared at him coldly. Dane was quite surprised when Hazu demanded, "Move." Although he didn't want to, time was running out, he silently stepped aside. At this moment, the countdown had reached 0. Meanwhile, she touched the marks on the ground. Then she threw a punch into the air. She said coolly, "Let's go." Dane stared at the glowing stones, levitating in the air, and silently followed behind Hazu. On the way, he saw a notice board. The information on it was No 1107. Temporary name, the teleporter. Points to note: can escape using teleportation. Therefore, maintain grade A security at all times. Habitually attacks from behind, so be careful. A praying mantis model. Dane was shocked. He developed the ability to teleport. Not only that, he went from one surprise to another. Before them was Behemoth Prototype 0. Dane was dejected. So this is the lab chamber that held the Black Disaster. It broke out of here and escaped. Seeing no more hope, he suggested, "Well, this boring underground lab expedition is over. Looks like there's nothing else to see. Everything's smashed to bits, there's nothing." However, she stopped him. "Wait. If this is the prototype, it means the original could be somewhere." His heart jumped. Her intuition is too good. Dane quickly tried to distract her. "So shall we try going that way?" But Hazu insisted. "Let's go this way." And her intuition was correct. "It's here." And this was Behemoth. Next, Hazu looked at the parameters displayed on Behemoth's lab chamber. Seeing her move elsewhere, he wondered, "Huh? Where is she going, hey?" "Hello? Stardust, are you just gonna leave me next to Behemoth and walk away?" Dane was screaming internally. "Even though we formed an alliance, just a moment ago I was emphasizing how I'm a purebred villain. Is she not on guard at all? You're turning your back too easily." Cough, cough. A villain's pride is a little hurt now. At the same time, he understood. Looks like just talking isn't gonna work. Thus, Dane silently decided, "Let me show you." Instantly, he summoned a strange power. Seeing the threads wrapping around his arm, Hazu was wary. "What are you doing?" Dane replied, "What else?" and completely turned on her. "It's a betrayal, of course." She couldn't believe it, stammering, "You bastard," Dane smirked, remembering. In the original story, there's a scene where Dr. Kim, Seon-ho, uses Behemoth to fight. Stardust, that means... Hazu didn't understand why he was smiling so despicably. But right now her anger from being betrayed was greater when betrayed. "I'll beat you to a pulp." Dane's arm was now red like blood vessels. With just a slight movement, it swelled up and aimed straight at her. Hazu aimed straight for Dane's arm and attacked, but her fist was too small compared to his power. Dane smirked, seeing Hazu trying to fight a losing battle. Then he launched a continuous attack, while she did her best to dodge. Dane let out a loud laugh, and at the same time taunted her, "Are you trying to destroy everything? At this rate, Stardust, this place will collapse." Hazu, both exhausted and angry, yelled, "Hey, fight me fair and square." But her words only made him laugh harder, "Huh? Have you ever seen a villain fight fair and square before? You're saying some weird things to the person who just betrayed you." Being mocked, she furiously charged at him. They both punched each other without mercy. Dane continued to mock her. "This is what villains are like, Stardust. Do you get it now?" The moment she turns her back even for an instant, Hazu gritted her teeth in anger. There's a beast appearing behind her, and she doesn't even know it. When fighting up close, she realized he's too fast. Right at the moment, the instant to teleport with Stardust, the pincer of the beast silently attacked Hazu from behind. By the time she realized it, it was too late. He was just as stunned as Hazu. In a flash, Dane rushed over. She was shocked. "What?" And he took the full force of the beast's blow. Hazu, horrified, yelled, "Egoistic, what did you just do?" After taking that hit, he was severely injured. Enduring the pain, Dane managed to say, "Just now," while quickly leaving, adding, "You owe me one." Meanwhile, in the real world, Seol sighed. "This brother of mine is always going out, and he doesn't even bother to answer his calls. He has no consideration for the person waiting at home. I'm really about to get wrinkles on my forehead." Hearing a noise outside, she perked up. "He's back." Seo-yul was both happy and worried. "Seriously, Appa, why are you so late?" Suddenly, she froze. Chaehyun and Hazu also sensed something was wrong. They rushed out to see what was happening outside. Seol was collapsed next to him, and Dane was lying barely conscious in a pool of blood. Chaehyun, trembling, dialed, "Quick, call an ambulance, 119. She panicked, shaking him, "Appa. Wake up, Appa!" They were in a complete panic. "What do we do? There's so much blood." Although she was just as scared, Hazu tried to stay calm. Move aside, Seoyul. Seoel, with tears streaming down her face, looked at the young girl. A blue light emanated from Hazu's palm. The young girl transferred that power into Dain, immediately after it spread, illuminating the entire corner. Meanwhile, in the virtual world, she realized with a shock he lost too much blood. Hazu couldn't understand why he saved her. Egoistic, just who are you? Seeing the spoonful of food so close to his mouth, Dain moved his lips, Ms. Subin. Please. He shouted, helplessly begging, please let me eat by myself. Let me keep my dignity. But Subin didn't yield and took the opportunity, while Dain's mouth was open to put the spoon in. There. Hazu slowly stood up and hesitated before saying, well, I'm heading out. Dain immediately leaned over to call out Hazu. The young girl was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, Hazu unexpectedly tightened the straps of her backpack, bowed her head, and silently shed tears. I'm sorry for hiding my abilities until now. You even let me go back to school. Dain quickly reassured her. What are you talking about? I'm grateful, really. I hope you have a great first day of high school. Finally, the young girl felt a sense of relief. After cheering up, Hazu smiled and waved. I'm off. Seoul also replied cheerfully, be careful on your way. Subin also chimed in, Kaehyun, you be careful too. You two watch out for traffic. After the two left, Seoyul's anger flared up and she warned, Aish, if you dare sneak out again, you'll have to answer to me. You'll be dead meat. Seriously. She picked up an object that looked like a ball of yarn and asked, by the way, what did you bring back? It looks pretty heavy. Dain gave a mysterious little smirk. Hey, Seoyul. That's for acupressure. Let me see it. She looked at it doubtfully. How can you use this round thing for acupressure? Suddenly, the object began to glow brightly. Startled, Seoyul quickly threw it back at him. Whoa! Dain caught the object and began to chant, awaken. Behemoth! Subin and Seoyul watched nervously. A loud noise suddenly rang out. A shackle on Dain's hand burst open and fell to the ground. Something appeared, leaving the two girls stunned. A black shadow grew larger and larger, then rushed towards them. A moment later, the two of them were bound by the threads Dain had just awakened. They were suspended high in the air. Meanwhile, he leisurely ate his porridge, while twirling the threads. Did you do something wrong, or did you not? Seoul yelled in panic, I was wrong. Dain asked again, will you do it again? They both said in unison, we won't do it again. Their shrill screams echoed, let us down! Scene change. Night falls. A sliver of moonlight shines on a large mansion, strangely quiet. In her room, Hazu is asleep in bed. Her eyebrows are furrowed. She looks like she's having a nightmare. In her dream, the image of Dain taking a blow for her repeats endlessly. Hazu jolts awake, her face pale. A moment later, she quietly walks over and sits by the glass window, where the moonlight reflects. Her hand on her chest clenches slightly. The corners of Hazu's eyes turn red as she mumbles to herself. Egoistic, he'll be okay right 1 month later. On a clear day with blue skies and white clouds, the golden sunlight slanted across the school campus. Hazu sat listlessly in the classroom, her cheek resting on her hand. Her eyes stared blankly out the window. Chaehyun, seeing this, came over and asked Han Hazu, why have you been spacing out so much lately? Is something bothering you? She was startled and quickly denied it. It's nothing. Her eyes lit up as she puffed out her chest. How can it be nothing, tell me? Hurry up. After a moment, Hazu hesitated. Hey, she wondered. If a villain saves a hero, what does that mean? Hyun, after hearing this, pulled her desk closer and asked with a smile, why are you suddenly asking something so weird? Ha! Hazu blushed and stammered. Just if. If a villain saved a hero or something? Finally, she sighed and turned away. It's nothing. I guess lately, I've been getting too into the novel I'm reading. Chaehyun didn't press further. Oh, I see. She took an iPad out of her bag and said, actually, I've been obsessed with a novel lately too. The plot is similar. Chaehyun tapped the screen a few times and showed the device to Hazu. Ta-da, what do you think? She looked up curiously. She enthusiastically introduced The Forbidden Love of the Villain, Egoistic and the Heroine Stardust. As soon as she saw it, Hazu slammed her face down on the desk, which startled Chaehyun. Hazu, she worriedly asked, are you okay? You're not dead, are you? Hazu turned her head to look out the window, thinking to herself, no way, that scheming bastard. He's the one who treated all of South Korea like a joke. He's definitely still alive and kicking shamelessly. Beside her, Chaehyun, not knowing what was wrong with her, asked confusedly, Hun, Hazu, is your head okay? A question suddenly arose in Hazu's mind. When will the next terror attack be? Meanwhile, Subin was carefully peeling an apple. Beside her, Dain's voice could be heard. There won't be any terror attacks for a while. Seo-il was shocked to hear this news. She asked doubtfully, really for real? He stretched out on the mat and confirmed, yeah. I'm going to rest for a while. Seo-il grumbled in annoyance. Eesh! Why don't you just quit? Dain calmly crossed his legs and affirmed, I won't, but someone else will. She frowned slightly surprised. Huh. Someone else? Dain didn't answer, just thought to himself. I can't always be on the front lines. Currently, in terms of raw power on the team, I'm the strongest. But that's the problem, he remembered from before. Just seeing how easily Stardust stopped Behemoth shows that we need a strong support for the new challenge. At this, a faint smile appeared on Dain's face. Stardust, I've prepared for her. A new member, scene change. An orange-haired girl with a bright, welcoming smile says, come in. Before she could react, a boy with glasses suddenly knelt down, offering her a bouquet of flowers. I love you, Sehi. This is a bouquet of pure white flowers, pure containing my feelings for you, Sehi. Please accept it. Accept these feelings? He was almost begging. Please accept them. Dain, sitting on the side, was enjoying the show. This scene was in the original, too. Of course, Sehi immediately flared up, gritting her teeth. Customer get lost. I'm already annoyed as hell. And now I have to deal with this pest at my sacred workplace. Are you kidding me? Do I look like a pushover? The boy was startled to see this. Rejected, he ran off crying, wah. So mean? Dain burst out laughing, amused. Watching it in person is way more interesting, huh? This girl's full name is Choi Se-hee, 23 years old. After the other person left, she let out a tired sigh. Dain just kept drinking and looking at her. At the same time, Se-hee turned and their eyes met. She blushed awkwardly and turned away. Aish. What the heck? Is he done yet? Dain, meanwhile, was recalling Choi Se-hee from his memory. Later in the original story, she operates under the alias Electra, a grade A villain. But at this point in time, of course, right now, she's living the life of a good citizen, struggling with the destructive instincts rising within her. And her part-time job is just a temporary measure to suppress it. Dain stood up, picked up his box, and smirked. As for Se-hee, after walking past him, she unconsciously bit her lip, her cheeks turning red. Dain, of course, didn't see that expression. He was just thinking, in other words, she's nothing but a ticking time bomb. It was completely dark. After finishing work, Se-hee walked home alone. She sighed as she walked. Ugh, damn it, how long do I have to live like this? Part-time, part-time, part-time. Finish work, then go to another part-time job, then another. She suddenly stopped and looked back nervously. There's no one there, right? After confirming no one was there, Se-hee clenched her hands and a few sparks of electricity formed. In an instant, they suddenly erupted violently. She opened her hands, letting the sparks fly straight up into the dark sky. Se-hee looked at them and couldn't help but smile in admiration. So beautiful. Suddenly, from behind her, a round of applause was heard. It startled her and she whipped around. After getting a clear look at the person who had just appeared, her eyes widened in shock. Egoistic. Dain stepped forward and held out his hand to Se-hee. His voice was inviting. I've been looking for a talent like you for a long time. Ms. Choi Se-hee with that ability. Have you considered helping with my terrorist activities? Se-hee was confused. What? Terrorism. Her face darkened in less than a second. Se-hee's hand immediately charged with electricity. You lunatic, do you think? Every superhuman is a villain like you. He was not the least bit flustered. On the contrary, his expression was one of amusement. His other hand leisurely came up to play with Behemoth. Let's see how strong you are.